Chapter 20. Brooke and I buy a house in Pacific Palisades. It's not the house I wanted. I had my heart set on a big rambling farmhouse with a family room off the kitchen. But she loved this one, so here we are, living in a multi-level French country knockoff set against the side of a cliff. It has no flow, and it feels sterile, the ideal house for a childless couple who plan to spend lots of time in different rooms. The real estate agent gushed about the breathtaking views of the skyline. In the foreground is Sunset Boulevard. At night I can see the Holiday Inn from where I stayed after our first date. Many nights I stare at the hotel and wonder what would have happened if I'd kept driving, if I'd never phoned Brooke again. I decide that the view from our new house is better when fog or smog prevents me from seeing that Holiday Inn. At the close of 1996, we throw a combination housewarming New Year's Eve party, invite the gang from Vegas and Brooke's Hollywood friends. We confer with Gil about security. After a new batch of scary letters, we have to guard against intruders, so Gil spends most of the night standing at the foot of the driveway, screening people as they arrive. McEnroe shows up, and I kid him about getting past Gil. He sits on the deck, talking tennis, my least favorite topic these days, so I drift in and out. I spend the night mixing margaritas, watching JP slap his drums with a steel Buddy Rich type brush, and sitting before the fireplace. I stoke it, feed it, stare deep into the flames. I tell myself that 1997 is going to be better than 1996. I vow that 1997 is going to be my year. Brooke and I are at the Golden Globe Awards when I get a call from Gil. His 12-year-old daughter, Casey, has been in an accident. She was snow sledding on a church trip at Mount Charleston, an hour north of Vegas, and went straight into a frozen snowbank. She broke her neck. I leave Brooke and fly to Vegas, arriving at the hospital in my tuxedo. I find Gil and Gay in the hallway, looking as if they're barely hanging on. We hug, and they tell me it's bad, very bad. Casey's going to need surgery. Doctors say there's a chance she'll be paralyzed. We spend days at the hospital, talking to doctors, trying to keep Casey comfortable. Gil needs to go home, get some sleep. He's out on his feet, so he won't leave. He's going to stand guard over his daughter. I get an idea. I have a big pimped-out minivan, which I bought from Perry's father. It has a satellite dish and a fold-out bed. I park it right outside the hospital, outside the front door, and I tell Gil, now, when visiting hours are over, you don't have to go home. You can just go downstairs and catch a few hours shut-eye in the back of your new van. And since it's all metered parking in front of the hospital, I've filled the van's cup holders with quarters. Gil gives me a strange look, and I realize it's the first time that he and I ever switched roles. For a few days, it's me making him stronger. When the hospital releases Casey a week later, the doctors say she's out of the woods. Her surgery was a success, and she'll be up and around in no time. Still, I want to follow her home, stick around Vegas, see how she recovers. Gil won't hear of it. He knows I'm due in San Jose. I tell Gil I'm going to pull out of the tournament. Absolutely not, he says. There's nothing to do now but wait and pray. I'll phone you with updates. Go, play. I've never had an argument with Gil, and I won't let this be the first. Reluctantly, I go to San Jose and play my first match in 3 months. I face Mark Nowles, one of my old roommates at the Bollettieri Academy. After a solid doubles career, he's trying to break into the singles bracket. He's a great athlete, but I shouldn't have any trouble with him. I know his game better than he knows it himself, and yet he takes me to a third set. Even though I win, it's not an easy win, so it sticks in my craw. I hack my way through the tournament, seemingly on a collision course with Pete, but I falter at the semis against Greg Ruzetsky from Canada. My mind hurries back to Vegas, hours ahead of my body. I'm at the bachelor pad, watching TV with Slim, my assistant. I'm in a bad way. Casey isn't doing well, and the doctors don't know why. Gil is on the brink. Meanwhile, my wedding looms. I think all the time about postponing it or calling it off altogether, but I don't know how. Slim is stressed too. He was with his girlfriend recently, he says, and the condom broke. Now she's late. During a commercial, he stands up and announces that there's only one thing to do: get high. He says, "You want to get high with me?" High? Yeah. On what? Gack. What the hell's gack? Crystal meth. Why do you call it gack? Because that's the sound you make when you're high. Your mind is going so fast, all you can say is gack, gack, gack. That's how I feel all the time. What's the point? Make you feel like Superman, dude. I'm telling you. As if they're coming out of someone else's mouth, someone standing directly behind me, I hear these words. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, let's get high. Slim dumps a small pile of powder on the coffee table. He cuts it, snorts it. He cuts it again. I snort some. I ease back on the couch and consider the Rubicon I've just crossed. There's a moment of regret, followed by vast sadness. Then comes a tidal wave of euphoria that sweeps away every negative thought in my head, every negative thought I've ever had. It's a cortisone shot to the subcortex. I've never felt so alive, so hopeful, and above all, I've never felt such energy. I'm seized by an urge, a desperate desire to clean. I go tearing around my house, cleaning it from top to bottom. I dust the furniture. I scour the tub. I make the beds. I sweep the floors. When there's nothing left to clean, I do laundry. All the laundry. I fold every sweater and t-shirt, and still I haven't made a dent in my energy. I don't want to sit down. If I had table silver, I'd polish it. If I had leather shoes, I'd shine them. If I had a giant jug of coins, I'd roll them into paper wrappers. I look high and low for Slim. He's out in the garage, taking apart the engine of his car and putting it together again. I tell him I could do anything right now. Anything, man. Anything. Anything. Any fucking thing. I could get in the car and drive to Palm Springs and play 18 holes, then drive home and make lunch and go for a swim. I don't sleep for 2 days. When I finally do, it's the sleep of the dead and the innocent. Playing weeks later, I struggle against Scott Draper. Left-handed, talented, he's a good player, but I've beaten him soundly in the past. I shouldn't have any trouble with him, and yet he's cleaning my clock. I'm so far from being able to beat Draper, in fact, I honestly wonder if it was me who beat him the last time. How could I have been that much better such a short time ago? He's outplaying me in every phase of the game. Afterward, reporters ask if I'm okay. They don't sound accusatory or mean. They sound like Perry and Brad. They're actually concerned, trying to figure out what's wrong. Brooke is remarkably unconcerned. I lose all the time now, and the only time I don't lose is when I pull out of a tournament, and her only comment is that she enjoys having me around more. Also, since I'm generally playing less often, she says I'm not as moody. Her oblivion is partly due to the wedding planning, but also her rigorous premarital training regimen. She's working with Gil to get in shape for that white dress. She's running, lifting, stretching, counting every calorie. For added motivation, she tapes a photo on the refrigerator door, and around the photo she puts a magnetic heart frame. It's a photo of the perfect woman, she says, the perfect woman with the perfect legs, the legs Brooke wants. Astonished, I stare at the photo. I reach out and touch the frame. Is that? Yep, Brooke says. Steffi Graf. I play Davis Cup in April, looking for a spark. I practice hard, train hard. We're up against the Netherlands. My first match in Newport Beach is against Shing Schalken. He's 6'5", but serves like a man 5'6". Still, he strikes the ball cleanly, and like me, he's a punisher, a baseliner who stays back and tries to run an opponent into the ground. I know what I'm in for. The day is sunny, windy, and weird. Dutch fans wear wooden shoes and wave tulips. I beat Schalken in 3 wearying sets. 2 days later, I played Jan Schimmerink. a.k.a. the garbage man. He's a lefty, an excellent volleyer who gets to the net quick and covers it well. But that's the only part of his game that isn't comically, fundamentally unsound. Every simmering forehand looks mishit. Every backhand seems shanked. Even his serve has a wacky, slingy quality. Garbage. I start the match confident, then recall that his lack of form is a powerful weapon. His abysmal shot-making keeps you always off balance. Your timing never feels right. After 2 hours, I'm wrong-footed, breathing hard, and have a splitting headache. I'm also down 2 sets to love. Still, somehow I win, making me 24-4 in Davis Cup play. One of the best records ever compiled by an American. Sports writers praise this small part of my game and ask why I can't translate it to the rest of my game. Even if their praise is tempered, I bask in it. It feels good. I give a small thanks for Davis Cup. On the other hand, Davis Cup plays havoc with my manicure schedule. Brooke has made many requests for me for the wedding, but her non-negotiable demand is that my nails be perfect. I pick at my cuticles, a lifelong nervous habit, and when she puts a wedding band on my finger, she says she wants my hands looking their best. Just before my match with the garbage man, and again after the match, I submit. I sit myself in the manicurist chair, watch the woman work at my cuticles, and tell myself this feels as off-balance and wrong-footed as my match against the garbage man. I think, now this is what I call garbage. With 4 helicopters full of paparazzi circling overhead, on April 19th, 1997, Brooke and I get married. The ceremony takes place in Monterey in a tiny church that's stiflingly, criminally hot. I'd give anything for a puff of fresh air, but the windows must remain shut to block out the noise of the helicopters. The heat is one reason I break out in a sweat during the ceremony. The main reason, however, is that my body and nerves are shot. As the priest drones on, sweat drips from my brow, from my chin, from my ears. Everyone is looking. They're sweating too, but not like me. The jacket of my new Dunhill tuxedo is soaked. Even my shoes squish when I walk. They're also fitted with lifts, another non-negotiable demand from Brooke. She's nearly 6 feet tall, and she doesn't want to tower over me in our photos, so she's wearing old-fashioned pumps with minimal heels, and I'm wearing what feels like stilts. Before we leave the church, a decoy bride, a stand-in for Brooke, leaves first, to throw the paparazzi off the scent. The first time I heard about this plan, I tuned it out, refused to pay attention. Now, as I see the Brooke look-alike leaving, I have a thought no man should have on his wedding day. I wish I were leaving too. I wish I had a decoy groom to take my place. A horse-drawn carriage is standing by to whisk Brooke and me to the reception at a ranch called Stone Pine. But first we have a short car ride to the carriage. I sit in the car beside Brooke, staring into my lap. I feel mortified about my attack of hysterical sweats. Brooke tells me it's okay. She's very sweet, but it's not okay. Nothing is okay. Into the reception we go, into a solid wall of noise. I see a whirling carousel of faces. Philly, Gil, JP, Brad, Slim, my parents. There are famous people I don't know, have never met, but vaguely recognize. Friends of Brooke? Friends of friends? Some of the friends from Friends? I catch sight of Perry, my best man, and the self-anointed wedding producer. He wears a Madonna headset so he can be in constant communication with the photographers and florists and caterers. He's so jacked up, so high-strung, he's making me more nervous, which I didn't think was possible. At the end of the night, Brooke and I stagger up to our bridal suite, which I've arranged to have filled with hundreds of candles. Too many candles. The room is an oven. It's hotter than the church. Again, I start to sweat. We start to blow out the candles, and the smoke detectors go off. We disable the smoke detectors and open the windows. While the room cools, we go downstairs, back to the reception, to spend our wedding night eating chocolate mousse with the wedding party. The following afternoon, at a barbecue for friends and family, Brooke and I make a grand entrance. As per Brooke's plan, we wear cowboy hats and denim shirts and arrive on horses. Mine is named Sugar. Her sad, glassy eyes remind me of peaches. People surround me, talk to me, congratulate me, slap me on the back, and I need to run away. I spend a good portion of the barbecue with my nephew, Skylar, son of Rita and Pancho. We get hold of a bow and arrow and make target practice with a distant oak. While drawing back the bow, I feel a sudden twinge in my wrist. I pull out of the 1997 French Open. Of all surfaces, clay is the worst on a tender wrist. There's no way I can last 5 sets against the dirt rats who've been practicing and drilling on clay while I've been getting manicures and writing sugar. But I will go to Wimbledon. I want to go. Brooke has landed an acting job in England, which means she can accompany me. This will be good, I think. A change of venue, a trip, our first as husband and wife to somewhere other than an island. Though, come to think of it, England is an island. In London, we spend several happy nights, dinner with friends, an experimental play, a walk along the Thames. The stars are lined up for a good Wimbledon, and then I decide that I'd rather jump in the Thames. Out of nowhere, I can't bring myself to practice. I tell Brad and Gil I'm pulling out of the tournament. I'm in vapor lock. Brad says, "What the hell does vapor lock mean?" I've played this game for a lot of reasons, I say, and it just seems like none of them has ever been my own. The words come tumbling out with no forethought, just as they did that night with Slim. But they sound remarkably true, so much, in fact, that I write them down. I repeat them to reporters and to mirrors. After pulling out of the tournament, I stay on in London, waiting for Brooke to finish filming. We go out one night with a group of actors to a world-famous restaurant Brooke is eager to try, the Ivy. Brooke and the actors talk over each other while I silently hunker down at one end of the table eating. Grazing, actually. I order 5 courses, and for dessert, I shovel 3 sticky toffee puddings into my mouth. Slowly, an actress notices how much food is disappearing at my end of the table. She looks at me, alarmed. "You always," she asks, "eat like this?" I'm playing in D.C., and my opponent is Fletch. Brad tells me to go out and avenge last year's Wimbledon loss, but I can't imagine anything mattering less. Revenge? Again? Haven't we been down that road before? It makes me sad and weary that Brad can be so blinded by his Bradness, but he can be so oblivious to what I'm feeling. Who does he think he is? Brooke? I lose to Flack, of course, then tell Brad I'm shutting down for the summer. Brad says, "The whole summer?" "See you in the fall." Brooke is in Los Angeles, but I spend most of my time in Vegas. Slim is there, and we get high a lot. It's a welcome change to have energy, to feel happy, to clear away the vapor lock. I like feeling inspired again, even if the inspiration is chemically induced. I stay awake all night, several nights in a row, relishing the silence. No one phoning, no one faxing, no one bothering me. Nothing to do but dance around the house and fold laundry and think. I want to get clear of the void, I tell Slim. "Yeah," he says. "Yeah, the void." Apart from the buzz of getting high, I get an undeniable satisfaction from harming myself and shortening my career. After decades of merely dabbling in masochism, I'm making it my mission. But the physical aftermath is hideous. After 2 days of being high, of not sleeping, I'm an alien. I have the audacity to wonder why I feel so rotten. I'm an athlete. My body should be able to handle this. Slim gets high all the time, and he seems fine. Then all at once, Slim is not fine. He becomes unrecognizable, and drugs aren't fully to blame. He was already frantic about the prospect of becoming a father. Now he phones me one night from the hospital and says, "It happened." "What?" "She had the baby, months ahead of time, a boy. Andre, it only weighs 1 pound, 6 ounces. The doctors don't know if he's going to make it." I speed down to Sunrise Hospital, the hospital where Slim and I were born 24 hours apart. I stare through the glass at what they tell me is a baby, though it's only the size of my open palm. The doctors tell Slim and me that the baby is very sick. They have to give him an IV of antibiotics. The next morning, the doctors tell us that the IV popped out. It dripped on the baby's leg, and now the leg is burned. Also, the baby's not breathing on its own. They need to put him on a ventilator. It's risky. The doctors worry that the baby's lungs aren't developed enough for the ventilator, but without the ventilator, he'll die. Slim says nothing. Do whatever you think best, I tell the doctors. As feared, hours later, one of the baby's lungs collapses. Then the other. Now the doctors say the lungs really can't handle the ventilator, but without the ventilator, the baby will die. They simply don't know what to do. There's one final hope. A machine that might do the work of a ventilator without harming the lungs. A machine that takes the blood from the baby, oxygenates it, then flows it back into the baby. But the nearest such machine is in Phoenix. I arrange a medical airplane. A team of doctors and nurses unhooks the baby from the ventilator and carries him like an egg to the tarmac. Then Slim, his girlfriend, and I board a separate plane. A nurse gives us a number to call when we land to find out if the baby has survived the flight. As the wheels touch down in Phoenix, I take a breath and dial. He made it, but now we need to get him into the machine. At the hospital, we sit and sit. The clock doesn't move. Slim chain smokes. His girlfriend weeps quietly over a magazine. I step away for a moment to phone Gil. Casey isn't doing very well, he says. She's in constant pain. He doesn't sound like Gil. He sounds like Slim. I return to the waiting room. A doctor appears, pulling down his mask. I don't know if I can handle more bad news. We managed to get him hooked to the machine, the doctor says. So far, so good. The next 6 months will tell. I rent a house near the hospital for Slim and his girlfriend. Then I fly back to Los Angeles. I should sleep on the flight, but instead I stare at the back of the seat in front of me and think how fragile it all is. The next 6 months will tell. To which of us does that dire statement not apply? At home, sitting in our kitchen, I tell Brooke the entire sad, awful, miraculous story. She's fascinated, but mystified. She asks, "How could you get so involved?" How could I not? Weeks later, Brad talks me into coming back, briefly, to play at the ATP Championships in Cincinnati. I face Gustavo Kuerten, a Brazilian. It takes him 46 minutes to beat me. My third first-round loss in a row. Gullickson announces that he's dropping me from the Davis Cup team. I'm one of the best American players ever, but I don't blame him. Who could blame him? At the 1997 U.S. Open, I'm unseated for the first time in 3 years. I'm wearing a peach shirt, and they can't keep them in stock at the concession stand. Astonishing. People still want to dress like me. People want to look like me. Have they taken a good look at me lately? I reach the round of 16 and play Rafter, who's having his breakout year. He reached the semis of the French Open, and he's my personal favorite to win this tournament. He's a great serve and volleyer, reminiscent of Pete, but I always thought Rafter and I made better rivalry aesthetically because Rafter is more consistent. Pete can play a lousy 38 minutes, then one lights-out minute and win the set, whereas Rafter plays well all the time. He's 6'2" with a low center of gravity, and he can change direction like a sports car. He's one of the hardest guys on the tour to pass, and even harder to dislike. He's all class, win or lose, and today he wins. He gives me a gentlemanly handshake and a smile in which there is an unmistakable trace of pity. I'm playing Stuttgart in 10 days. I should lie low, rest, practice, but instead I need to go to North Carolina, a little town called Mount Pleasant, because of Brooke. She's tight with David Strickland, an actor on her new TV show, Suddenly Susan, and David's traveling to North Carolina to spend his birthday with family. Brooke wants us to tag along. She thinks it would do us good, hanging out in the country, breathing fresh air, and I can't think of a good reason to say no. Mount Pleasant is a quaint southern town, but I don't see any mount, and it's not all that pleasant. The Strickland house is comfortable, with old wood floors and soft beds and a warm, enveloping smell of cinnamon and pie crust. But somewhat incongruously, it sits on a golf course, its back porch only 20 yards from one of the greens, so there's always someone in my peripheral vision lining up a putt. The lady of the house, Granny Strickland, is ample-bosomed, apple-cheeked, straight out of Mayberry, and she's forever standing at her stove, baking something or whipping up another batch of paella. Not exactly training food, but to be polite, I clean my plate and ask for seconds. Brooke seems to be in heaven, and part of me understands. The house is surrounded by rolling hills and ancient trees. The leaves have turned 9 different kinds of orange, and she loves David. They have a special bond, a secret language of inside jokes and comic banter. Now and then they slip into their characters from the show, doing a scene, then laughing themselves hoarse. Then they quickly explain what they've just done and said, trying to bring me up to speed so I don't feel left out. But it's always too little, too late. I'm the third wheel and I know it. At night the temperature drops. The cool air has a piney, earthy scent, and that makes me sad. I stand on the back porch, looking at the stars, wondering what's wrong with me, why this setting has no power to charm me. I think about that moment so many years ago when Philly and I decided I was going to quit. When that call came for me to play here in North Carolina, the rest is history. Over and over, I ask myself, what if? I decide that I need to work. Work, as always, is the answer. After all, Stuttgart is only days off. It would be nice to win. I phone Brad, and he locates a tennis court an hour or so away. He also scrounges up a sparring partner, a young amateur who'd love nothing more than to hit with me each morning. I drive through the morning mist toward the Blue Ridge Mountains and meet the amateur. I thank him for taking the time, but he says the pleasure is all his. It will be my honor, Mr. Agassi. I feel virtuous. I'm getting my work done, even here in this remote outpost, and then we start hitting. At the higher altitude, the ball flies every which way, defying gravity. It's like playing in outer space, hardly worth the effort. Then the young amateur blows out his shoulder. I spend the next 2 days of our southern sojourn scarfing paella and brooding. When I grow so bored that I think I might bang my head against a pine tree, I walk out to the golf course and try to birdie the hole off the porch. At last it's time for me to leave. I kiss Brooke goodbye, kiss Granny Strickland goodbye, and notice that both kisses have the same amount of passion. I fly to Miami to connect with a direct flight to Stuttgart. Walking up to the gate, who should I see but Pete? As always, Pete. He looks as if he's done nothing for the last month but practice, and when he wasn't practicing, he was lying on a cot in a bare cell, thinking about beating me. He's rested, focused, wholly undistracted. I've always thought the difference between Pete and me were overblown by sports writers. It seemed too convenient, too important for fans and Nike and the game that Pete and I be polar opposites, the Yankees and Red Sox of tennis, the game's best server versus its best returner, the diffident Californian versus the brash Las Vegan. It all seemed like horseshit, or to use Pete's favorite word, nonsense. But at this moment, making small talk at the gate, the gap between us appears genuinely, frighteningly wide, like the gap between good and bad. I've often told Brad that tennis plays too big a part in Pete's life, and not a big enough part in mine, but Pete seems to have the proportions about right. Tennis is his job, and he does it with brio and dedication, while all my talk of maintaining a life outside tennis seems like just that, talk. just a pretty way of rationalizing all my distractions. For the first time since I've known him, including the times he's beaten my brains out, I envy Pete's dullness. I wish I could emulate his spectacular lack of inspiration and his peculiar lack of need for inspiration. I lose to Martin in the first round of Stuttgart. Driving away from the stadium, Brad is in a mood I've never seen. He looks at me with astonishment and sadness and a rafter-like pity. As we pull up to the hotel, he asks me up to his room. He rummages in the minibar and extracts 2 bottles of beer. He doesn't glance at the labels. He doesn't care that they're German. When Brad drinks German beer without noticing or complaining, something is up. He's wearing jeans and a black turtleneck. He looks somber, severe, and older. I've aged him. Andre, we've got a big decision to make, and we're going to make it before we leave this room tonight. What's up, Brad? We ain't continuing like this. You're better than this. At least you used to be better. You either need to quit or start over, but you can't go on embarrassing yourself like this. What? Let me finish. You have game left. At least I think you do. You can still win. Good things can still happen, but you need a full overhaul. You need to go back to the beginning. You need to pull out of everything and regroup. I'm talking square one. When Brad talks about pulling out of tournaments, I know it's serious. Here's what you need to do, he says. You need to train like you haven't trained in years. Hardcore. You need to get your body right, get your mind right, then start at the bottom. I'm talking challengers against guys who never dreamed they'd get a chance to meet you, let alone play you. He stops. He takes a long sip of beer. I say nothing. We've come to the crossroads. This is it, and it feels as if we've been headed here for months. Years. I stare out the window at the Stuttgart traffic. I hate tennis more than ever, but I hate myself more. I tell myself, so what if you hate tennis? Who cares? All those people out there, all those millions who hate what they do for a living, they do it anyway. Maybe doing what you hate, doing it well and cheerfully, is the point. So you hate tennis. Hate it all you want. You still need to respect it and yourself. I say, okay, Brad, I'm not ready for it to be over. I'm all in. Tell me what to do, and I'll do it. Chapter 21. Change. Time to change, Andre. You can't go on like this. Change, change, change. I say this word to myself several times a day, every day, while buttering my morning toast, while brushing my teeth, less as a warning than as a soothing chant. Far from depressing me or shaming me, the idea that I must change completely from top to bottom brings me back to center. For once, I don't hear that nagging self-doubt that follows every personal resolution. I won't fail this time. I can't, because it's change now or change never. The idea of stagnating, of remaining this Andre for the rest of my life, that's what I find truly depressing and shameful. And yet, our best intentions are often thwarted by external forces that we ourselves set in motion long ago. Decisions, especially bad ones, create their own kind of momentum, and momentum can be a bitch to stop, as every athlete knows. Even when we vow to change, even when we sorrow and atone for our mistakes, the momentum of our past keeps carrying us down the wrong road. Momentum rules the world. Momentum says, hold on, not so fast. I'm still running things here. As a friend likes to say, quoting an old Greek poem, the minds of the everlasting gods are not changed suddenly. Weeks after Stuttgart, walking through LaGuardia Airport, I get a phone call. It's a man with a gruff voice, a voice of judgment and condemnation, a voice of authority. He says he's a doctor working with the ATP. I think what those letters stand for, Association of Tennis Professionals. There is doom in his voice, as if he's going to tell me I'm dying, and then that's exactly what he tells me. It was his job to test my urine sample from a recent tournament. It's my duty, he says, to inform you that you failed the standard ATP drug test. The urine sample you submitted has been found to contain trace amounts of crystal methylene. I fall into a chair in the baggage claim area. I'm carrying a backpack, which I sliff off my shoulder and drop to the ground. Mr. Agassi? Yes, I'm here. So, what now? Well, there is a process. You'll need to write a letter to the ATP admitting your guilt or declaring your innocence. Uh-huh. Did you know there was a likelihood that this drug was in your system? Yes, I knew. In that case, you'll need to explain it in your letter how the drug got there. And then, your letter will be reviewed by a panel. And then, if you knowingly ingested the drug, if you, as it were, plead guilty, you'll be disciplined, of course. How? He reminds me that tennis has 3 classes of drug violation. Performance-enhancing drugs, of course, would constitute a Class 1, he says, which would carry suspension for 2 years. However, he adds, crystal methylene is a clear case of Class 2 recreational drugs. I think recreation, recreation. I say, meaning? 3 months suspension. What do I do once I've written this letter? I have an address for you. Have you got something to write on? I fish in my backpack for my notebook. He gives me the street, city, zip code, and I scribble it all down in a daze with no intention of actually writing the letter. The doctor says a few more things, which I don't hear, and then I thank him and hang up. I stumble out of the airport and hail a cab. Driving into Manhattan, staring out the smudged window, I tell the back of the cab driver's head, so much for change. I go straight to Brooke's brownstone. Luckily, she's in Los Angeles. I'd never be able to hide my emotions from her. I'd have to tell her everything, and I couldn't handle that right now. I fall into the bed and immediately pass out. When I wake an hour later, I realize it was just a nightmare. What a relief. It takes several minutes to accept that, no, the phone call was real. The doctor was real. The meth, all too real. My name, my career, everything is now on the line at the craps table where no one wins. Whatever I've achieved, whatever I've worked for, might soon mean nothing. Part of my discomfort with tennis has always been a nagging sense that it's meaningless. Now I'm about to learn the true meaning of meaninglessness. Serves me right. I lie awake until dawn, wondering what to do, whom to tell. I try to imagine how it will feel to be publicly shamed, not for my clothes or game, not for some marketing slogan someone hung on me, but for my utter stupidity, mine alone. I'll be an outcast. I'll be a cautionary tale. Still, though I'm in pain, during the next few days I don't panic. Not yet, not quite. I can't because other, more harrowing problems crowd in from all sides. People around me, people I love, are hurting. Doctors need to operate a second time on little Casey's neck. The first operation was clearly botched. I arranged for her to fly to Los Angeles to have the best care, but during her post-surgery recuperation period, she's immobilized again, lying on her back in a hospital bed, and she's suffering terribly. Unable to move her head, she says her scalp and skin burn. Also, her room is unspeakably hot, and she's like her father. She can't take heat. I kiss her cheek and tell her, "Don't worry, we'll fix it." I look at Gil. He's shrinking before my eyes. I run to the nearest appliance store and buy the biggest, baddest air conditioning unit they have. Gil and I install it in Casey's window. When I turn the knob up to max cool and press power, Gil and I clap hands and Casey smiles as the cold air pushes the bangs from her pretty round face. Next, I run to a toy store, the swimming section, and buy one of those tiny inner tubes for toddlers. I slide the inner tube under Casey, positioning her head in the center, then blow it up until it gently and gradually lifts her head without altering the angle of her neck. A look of pure relief and gratitude and joy washes over her face, and in this look, in this courageous little girl, I find the thing I've been seeking, the philosopher's stone that unites all the experiences, good and bad, of the last few years. Her suffering, her resilient smile in the face of that suffering, my part in easing her suffering, this is the reason for everything. How many times must I be shown? This is why we're here, to fight through the pain and, when possible, to relieve the pain of others. So simple, so hard to see. I turn to Gil and he sees it all, and his cheeks are glistening with tears. Later, while Casey sleeps, while Gil pretends not to sleep in the corner, I sit in a hard-backed chair at her bedside, a legal pad in my lap, and write a letter to the ATP. It's a letter filled with lies interwoven with bits of truth. I acknowledge that the drugs were in my system, but I assert that I never knowingly took them. I say Slim, whom I've since fired, is a known drug user, and that he often spikes his sodas with meth, which is true. Then I come to the central lie of the letter. I say that I recently drank accidentally from one of Slim's spiked sodas, unwittingly ingesting his drugs. I say that I felt poisoned, but thought the drugs would leave my system quickly. Apparently they did not. I ask for understanding and leniency and hastily sign it, sincerely. I sit with the letter on my lap, watching Casey's face. I feel ashamed, of course. I've always been a truthful person. When I lie, it's almost always unknowingly or to myself. But imagining the look on Casey's face as she learns that Uncle Andre is a drug user, banned 3 months from tennis, and then multiplying that look by a few million faces, I don't know what else to do but lie. I promise myself that at least this lie is the end of it. I'll send the letter, but I won't do anything more. I'll let my lawyers handle the rest. I won't go before any panel and lie to anyone's face. I'll never lie about this publicly. From here on, I'll leave it in the hands of fate and men in suits. If they can settle it privately, quietly, fine. If not, I'll live with what comes. Gil wakes. I fold the letter and step with him into the hallway. Under the fluorescent lights, he looks drawn, pale. He looks, I can't believe it, weak. I've forgotten. It's in hospital hallways that we know what life is about. I put my arms around him and tell him I love him and that we'll get through this. He nods, thanks me, mumbles something incoherent. We stand in silence for the longest time. In his eyes, I can see his thoughts circling the abyss. Then he tries to distract himself. He needs to talk about something, anything, other than the fear and worry. He asks how it's going with me. I tell him that I've decided to recommit myself to tennis, start at the minor leagues, and work my way back. I tell him that Casey has inspired me, shown me the way. Gil says he wants to help. No, you've got your hands full. Hey, stand on my shoulders, remember? Reach. I can't believe he still has faith. I've given him so many reasons to doubt. I'm 27, the age when tennis players start to fade, and I'm talking about a second chance, and yet Gil doesn't frown, doesn't arch an eyebrow. Let's throw down, he says. It's on. We start from the beginning, as if I'm a teenager, as if I've never worked out, because that's how I look. I'm slow, fat, frail as a kitten. I haven't picked up a dumbbell in a year. The heaviest thing I've lifted is Casey's air conditioner. I need to rediscover my body, add gingerly and gradually to its strength. But first, we're in Gil's gym. I'm sitting on the free bench. He's leaning against the leg extension. I tell him what I've done to my body, the drugs. I tell him about the pending suspension. I can't ask him to lead me out of the depths unless he knows how deep I've fallen. He looks as crushed as he looked in his daughter's hospital room. To me, Gil has always resembled that statue of Atlas, but now he looks as if he literally shoulders the weight of the world, as if he's bench pressing the problems of 6 billion. His voice chokes. I've never been so disgusted with myself. I tell him I'm done with drugs. I'll never touch them again, but it goes without saying. He knows this as well as I do. He clears his throat, thanks me for being honest, then pushes it all aside. Where you've been, he says, doesn't matter. From now on, we're all about where you are going. Where we're going, I say. Right. He draws up a plan. He outlines a proper diet. And no more Mr. Nice Guy, he says. No more lapses, no more fast food, no more shortcuts. You'll even have to cut back on the booze, he says. Above all, he's going to keep me on a strict schedule. Eat, exercise, lift, hit at precise times of day. As part of my new ascetic lifestyle, I'll be seeing less of my wife. I wonder if she'll notice. I put in a fierce, rugged month with Gil, every bit as rugged as our mini boot camp in early 1995, and then I go to a challenger, the bottom of the pro tennis ladder. The winner's check is $3,500. The crowd is smaller than the crowd at a typical high school football game. The venue is UNLV, familiar territory for such an unfamiliar moment. As Gil and I pull into the parking lot, I think of how far I've come and how far I haven't. These are the same courts I played on when I was 7. This is where I came the day Gil quit his job to work with me. I stood right over there, outside his office, hopping on one foot because I was so excited about the road that lay before us. Now, just a 3 wood from the spot, I'm playing hackers and has-beens. In other words, my peers. A challenger is the definition of small time, and nowhere is this more evident than in the players' lounge. The pre-match meal is airplane food, rubber chicken, limp veggies, flat soda. Once upon a time, at Slams, I would walk up and down the endless buffet line, chatting with white-hatted chefs while they made me feathery omelets and homemade pasta. All gone. The indignities don't stop there. At a challenger, there are fewer ball boys. It makes sense, since there are practically no balls. You get only 3 per match. On either side of your court are rows of courts with other matches taking place simultaneously. As you toss a ball to serve, you see the players to your left and right. You hear them arguing. They don't care if they're interrupting your concentration. Fuck you and your concentration. Now and then a ball comes dribbling past your feet from another court, and you hear, "A little help." You need to stop wherever you're doing and throw the ball back. Now you're the ball boy, again. You also operate your own scoreboard, manually. During the changeover, I flip the little plastic numbers, which feel like a part of a children's game. Fans laugh and yell things. How the mighty have fallen. Image is everything, eh, buddy? A high-ranking official says publicly that Andre Agassi playing a challenger is like Bruce Springsteen playing a corner bar. So what's wrong with Springsteen playing a corner bar? I think it would be cool if Springsteen played a corner bar now and then. I'm ranked number 141 in the world, the lowest I've been ranked in my adult life, the lowest I've dreamed of being ranked. Sports writers say I'm humbled. They love saying this. They couldn't be more wrong. I was humbled in the hotel room with Brad. I was humbled smoking meth with Slim. Now I'm just glad to be out here. Brad feels the same way. He doesn't find anything demeaning about the challenger. He's re-energized, rededicated, and I love him for it. He's excited for this challenger, coaching me as if we're at Wimbledon. He doesn't doubt that this is step 1 on the road all the way back to number 1. Inevitably, I put his faith to the test right away. I'm a shadow of my former self. My legs and arms might be on the mend, but my mind is still grossly out of shape. I reach the final, and then my mind gives out. Shaking from the pressure, the strangeness, the ridicule from the stands, I lose. Brad is undiscouraged. Some technique will need relearning, he says. Shot selection, for instance. You need to retrain that muscle with which a tennis player decides in the heat of battle that this shot is the right one and that shot is the wrong one. You need to remember that it doesn't matter if you hit the best shot in the world. Remember, if it's the wrong moment, it's the wrong shot. Every shot is an educated guess, and I'm no longer educated. I'm as green as if I was in juniors. It took me 22 years to discover my talent to win my first slam, and only 2 years to lose it. 1 week after Vegas, I play a challenger in Burbank. The venue is a public park. Center court has a large tree on one side that casts a 20-foot shadow. I've played on thousands of courts in my career, and this is the sorriest one of all. In the distance, I hear kids playing kickball and dodgeball, cars backfiring, boom boxes blaring. The tournament runs through Thanksgiving weekend, and I reach the third round, which falls on Thanksgiving Day. Rather than eating turkey at home, I'm scuffling in a Burbank public park ranked 120 spots lower than I was 2 Thanksgivings ago. Meanwhile, in Gothenburg, Davis Cup is underway. Chang and Sampras versus Sweden. It's sad but appropriate that I'm not there. I don't belong there. I belong here under the ridiculous courtside tree. Unless I can accept that I'm where I'm supposed to be, I'll never belong there again. Warming up before my match, I realize that I'm only 4 minutes from the studio where Brooke shoots Suddenly Susan, on which Perry is now a producer. The show has become a smash hit, and Brooke's busy, working 12 hours a day. Still, it seems odd that she doesn't pop over, watch a few points. Even when I get home, she doesn't ask about the match. Then again, I don't ask about Suddenly Susan either. We talk about things. We talk about nothing. The only time I break training is to meet with Perry and lay the groundwork for my charitable foundation. This is what we talked about 15 years ago, 2 idealistic teenagers with their mouths full of chipwiches. We wanted to reach a plateau from which we could give back, and we finally arrived. I've negotiated a long-term deal with Nike, which will pay me tens of millions over the next decade. I've bought my parents a house. I've taken care of everyone on my team. Now I'm financially able to think larger, to widen my lens. And in 1997, though I've hit rock bottom, or because I've hit rock bottom, I'm ready. My primary concern is children at risk. Adults can always ask for help, but children are voiceless, powerless. So the first project my foundation undertakes is a shelter for abused and neglected children who've been placed in the protective custody of the courts. The shelter includes a cottage for medically fragile children and a makeshift school. Next, we launch a program to clothe 3,000 inner-city children each year. Then a series of scholarships at UNLV. Then a Boys and Girls Club. My foundation takes a 2,200 square foot building that's falling apart and turns it into a 25,000 square foot showplace with a computer lab, a cafeteria, a library, and tennis courts. Colin Powell speaks at the dedication. I spend many carefree hours at the new Boys and Girls Club, meeting children, listening to their stories. I take them onto the tennis court, teach them the proper grip, watch their eyes sparkle because they've never held a racket before. I sit with them in the computer room where the demand for online time is so great that they stand in long lines, patiently waiting their turn. It shocks me, pains me to see how resolved they are to learn. Other times I simply station myself in the rec center of the Boys and Girls Club, playing ping pong with the children. I never walk into the rec center without thinking of the rec center at the Bolletary Academy, where I was so scared that first night, my back against the wall. The memory makes me want to adopt every single scared child I see. One day in the rec center, I sit with Stan, the man who runs the Boys and Girls Club. I ask him, what more can we do? How can we make a bigger difference in their lives? Stan says you have to figure out a way to occupy more of their day. Otherwise, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You really want to make a difference? You want to have a lasting impact? You need more of their day. In fact, you need all of their day. So in 1997, I huddle again with Perry, and we hit on the idea of adding education to our work. Then we decide to make education our work. But how? We briefly consider opening a private school, but the bureaucratic and financial obstacles are too much. By chance, I catch a story on 60 Minutes about charter schools, and it's the eureka moment. Charter schools are partly state-funded, partly privately funded. The challenge is raising money, but the benefit is retaining full control. With a charter school, we could do things the way we want. We'd be free to build something unique, special, and if it works, it can spread like wildfire. It can be a model for charter schools around the nation. It can change education as we know it. I can't believe the irony. A 60 Minutes piece caused my father to send me away, to break my heart, and now a 60 Minutes piece lights the way home, gives me the map to find my life's meaning, my mission. Perry and I resolved to build the best charter school in America. We resolved to hire the best teachers, pay them well, and hold them accountable for grades and test scores. We resolved to show the world what can be done when you set standards outrageously high and open the purse strings. We shake on it. I'll give millions of my own money to launch the school, but we'll need to raise many more millions. We'll issue a $40 million bond, then pay it off by parlaying and trading on my fame. At last my fame will have a purpose. All those famous people I've met at parties and through Brooke, I'll ask them to give their time and talent to my school, to visit the children, and to perform at an annual fundraiser, which we're calling the Grand Slam for Children. While Perry and I are scouting locations for our school, I get a call from Gary Mueller, a South African who used to play and coach on the tour. He's organizing a tennis event in Cape Town to raise money for the Nelson Mandela Foundation. He asks if I'd like to take part. We don't know if Mandela's going to be there, he says. If there's even a remote chance, I'm in. Gary calls right back. Good news, he says. You're going to get to meet the man. You're kidding. He's confirmed. He's coming to the event. I grip the phone tighter. I've admired Mandela for years. I've followed his struggles, his imprisonment, his miraculous release and stunning political career with awe. The idea of actually meeting him, speaking to him, makes me dizzy. I tell Brooke it's the happiest she's seen me in a long time, which makes her happy. She wants to come. The event happens to be a short flight from where she stayed while filming her Africa movie back in 1993 when we first started faxing. She immediately goes shopping for matching safari outfits. JP shares my reverence for Mandela, so I invite him to join us on the trip and bring his wife, Joni, whom Brooke and I both love. The four of us fly to South America, then catch another plane to Johannesburg. Then we hop a rickety prop plane into the heart of Africa. A storm forces us to make an unscheduled landing. We batten down in a straw-roofed hut in the middle of nowhere, and over the sound of the thunder we can hear hundreds of animals run for cover. Looking out of the hut over the vast savanna, watching storm clouds whirl along the horizon, JP and I agree this is one of those moments. We're both reading Mandela's memoir, Long Walk to Freedom, but feeling like heroes in a Hemingway novel. I think about something Mandela said once in an interview. No matter where you are in life, there is always more journey ahead. And I think of one of Mandela's favorite quotes from the poem Invictus, which sustained him during those moments when he thought his journey had been cut short. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. After the storm passes, we pile back into the prop plane and fly to a game reserve. We spend 3 days on safari. Every morning, before dawn, we climb into a jeep. We drive and drive, then abruptly stop. We sit for 20 minutes in pitch dark, the engine running. As the dawn slowly breaks, we find that we're on the banks of a vast, fog-covered marsh, surrounded by dozens of different kinds of animals. We see hundreds of impala. We see at least 75 zebras. We see scores of giraffes as tall as 2-story buildings, dancing around us and gliding among the trees, nibbling from the highest branches, a sound like celery being crunched. We feel the landscape speaking to us. All these animals, beginning their day in a dangerous world, exude tremendous calm and acceptance. Why can't you? With us are a driver and a shooter. The shooter is named Johnson. We love Johnson. He's our African Gill. He stands guard. He knows we love him, and he smiles with the pride of a crack shot. He also knows the landscape better than the impalas do. At one point, he waves his hand at the trees, and 1,000 small monkeys, as if on cue, fall to the ground like autumn leaves. We're driving deep into the bush one morning when the Jeep stutters, swerves, and we go spinning off to the right. What happened? We nearly ran over a lion sleeping in the middle of the road. The lion sits up and stares with an expression that says, "You woke me." His head is enormous. His eyes are the color of lemon-lime Gatorade. The smell of him is a musk so primal that it makes us lightheaded. He has hair like I used to have. "Do not make a sound," the driver whispers. "Whatever you do," Johnson whispers, "do not stand up." Why? The lion looks at us as one big predator. Right now he's afraid of us. If you stand, he'll see that we're several smaller people. Fair enough. After a few minutes, the lion backs away into the bush. We drive on. Later, returning to our campsite, I lean into JP and whisper, "I need to tell you something." "Fire away." "I'm going through, a tough time right now. I'm trying to put some bad stuff behind me." "What's the problem?" "I can't get into it, but I wanted to apologize if I seem different." "Well, now that you mention it, you do. You have. But what's going on?" "I'll tell you when I know you better." He laughs. Then he sees that I'm not kidding. He asks, "Are you okay?" I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want to tell him about the depression, the confusion, the time with Slim, the pending suspension from the ATP, but I can't. Not now. Not until it's all farther behind me. At the moment, it feels like a lion still inches away and glowering. I don't want to give voice to my problems for fear of rousing them, making them pounce. I just want to alert JP to their presence. I also tell him that I'm doubling down on tennis, and if I can pull through this tough time, if I can come back, everything is going to be different. I'm going to be different. But even if I can't, even if I'm finished, even if I lose everything, I'm still going to be different. He says, "Finished? I just wanted you to know." It's like a confession, a testimony. JP looks at me with sadness. He squeezes my arm and tells me in so many words that I am the captain of my fate. We travel to Cape Town, where I play tennis with obvious impatience, like a child doing chores on Saturday morning. Then, at last, it's time. We helicopter to a compound, and Mandela himself greets us at the helipad. He's surrounded by photographers, dignitaries, reporters, aides, and he towers above them all. He looks not only taller than I expected, but stronger, healthier. He looks like a former athlete, which surprises me given his years of hard labor and torture. But of course, he is a former athlete, a boxer in his youth, and in prison, he says, in his memoir, he kept fit by running in place in his cell and playing tennis occasionally on a crude makeshift court. For all his strength, however, his smile is sweet, almost angelic. I tell JP he seems saintly to me, Gandhi-like, void of all bitterness. His eyes, though damaged by years of working in the harsh glare of the prison's lime quarry, are filled with wisdom. His eyes say that he's figured something out, something essential. I babble as he fixes me with those eyes and shakes my hand and tells me he admires my game. We follow him into a great hall where a formal dinner is served. Brooke and I are seated at Mandela's table. Brooke sits on my right, Mandela on her right. Throughout the meal, he tells stories. I have many questions, but I don't dare interrupt him. He talks about Robben Island, where he was held for 18 of his 27 years in prison. He talks about winning over a few of the guards. As a special treat, they would sometimes let him walk along the edge of a small lake with a fishing pole to catch his own dinner. He smiles at the memory, almost nostalgic. After dinner, Mandela stands and gives a stirring talk. His theme, we must all care for one another. This is our task in life, but also we must care for ourselves, which means we must be careful in our decisions, careful in our relationships, careful in our statements. We must manage our lives carefully in order to avoid becoming victims. I feel as if he's speaking directly to me, as if he's aware that I've been careless with my talent and my health. He talks about racism, not just in South Africa, but around the world. It's nothing but ignorance, he says, and education is the only remedy. In prison, Mandela spent his few free hours educating himself. He created a kind of university, and he and his fellow prisoners were professors to each other. He survived the loneliness of constant confinement by reading. He especially loved Tolstoy. One of the harshest punishments his guard devised was taking away his right to study for 4 years. Again, his words seem to shimmer with personal relevance. I think of the work Perry and I have undertaken in Vegas, our charter school, and I feel invigorated, almost embarrassed. For the first time in many years, I'm acutely aware of my lack of education. I feel the weight of this lack, the misfortune of it. I see it as a crime in which I've been complicit. I think of how many thousands in my hometown are victims of this crime right now, deprived of an education, unaware how much they're losing. Finally, Mandela talks about the road he's traveled. He talks about the difficulty of all human journeys, and yet, he says, there is clarity and nobility in just being a journeyer. When he stops speaking and takes his chair, I know that my journey, compared with his, is nothing. And yet, that's not the point. Mandela is saying that every journey is important and that no journey is impossible. Bidding Mandela goodbye, I'm magnetized. I'm pointed in the right direction. A friend later shows me a passage in the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel A Death in the Family, in which a woman deep in mourning thinks, "Now I am more nearly a grown member of the human race." She thought that she had never before had a chance to realize the strength human beings have to endure. She loved and revered all those who had ever suffered, even those who had failed to endure. This is close to what I feel as I leave Mandela. This is what I think when the helicopter lifts away from his compound. I love and revere those who suffer, those who have ever suffered. I am now more nearly a grown member of the human race. God wants us to grow up. New Year's Eve, the last hours of this dreadful year, 1997, Brooke and I throw another New Year's party, and the next morning I wake early. I pull the covers over my head, then remember that I scheduled a practice with a kid on the tour, Vince Spadea. I decide to cancel. No, I yell at myself, you cannot cancel. You're not that person anymore. You're not going to start 1998 by oversleeping and canceling a practice. I force myself out of bed and meet Spadea. Even though it's only practice, we both want it. He turns it into a battle, which I appreciate, especially when I win. Walking off the court, I feel winded but strong, the old kind of strong. This is going to be my year, I tell Spadea. 1998 is my year. Brooke comes with me to the 1998 Australian Open and watches me dispatch my first 3 opponents, and unfortunately watches as I face Alberto Berasategui from Spain. I go up 2 sets to love, then unaccountably, impossibly, for no reason, I lose. Berasategui is a nasty opponent, but still, I had him. It's an unthinkable loss, one of the few times I've ever lost a match when ahead 2 sets to none. Is this a detour in the comeback or a dead end? I go to San Jose and play well. I meet Pete in the final. He seems glad to have me back, glad to see me again on the other side, as if he's missed me. I have to admit, I've missed him too. I win 6-2, 6-4, and toward the end, part of him seems to be pulling for me. He knows what I'm attempting, how far I have to go. I tease him in the locker room about how easy it was to beat him. How does it feel to lose to someone outside the top 100? I'm not too worried about it, he says. It's not going to happen again. Then I tease him about recent reports of his personal life. He's broken up with the law student and he's said to be dating an actress. Bad move, I tell him. The words catch us both off guard. In the media room, reporters ask me about Pete and Marcelo Rios, who are dueling for the number 1 rank. Which of them do you think will ultimately be number 1? Neither. Nervous laughter. I think I'm going to be number 1. Raucous laughter. No, really, I mean it. They stare, then dutifully write my insane prediction in their notebooks. In March, I go to Scottsdale and win my 2nd straight tournament. I beat Jason Stoltenberg from Australia, a classic Aussie. He's solid, steady, with an enviable all-around game that forces opponents to execute. He's a good gut check for me, a good test of my nerves, and I pass. Anyone who crosses me right now is going to have to deal with something they don't want to deal with. I go to Indian Wells and beat Rafter, but lose to a young phenom named Jan Michael Gamble. They say he's the best of the young bucks coming up. I look at him and wonder if he knows what lies ahead, if he's ready, if anyone can possibly be ready. I go to Key Biscayne. I want to win. I'm crazy to win. It's not like me to want a win this badly. What I normally feel is a desire not to lose. But warming up before my first rounder, I tell myself, I want this. And I realize precisely why. It's not about my comeback. It's about my team, my new team, my real team. I'm playing to raise money and visibility for my school. After all these years, I've got what I've always wanted, something to play for that's larger than myself and yet still closely connected to me, something that bears my name but isn't about me, the Andre Agassi College Preparatory Academy. At first, I didn't want my name on the school, but friends persuaded me that my name can bring cachet and credibility. My name might make raising money easier. Perry chooses the word academy, and it's not until later that I appreciate the way this forever links my school to my past, to Bradenton Academy and the Bollettieri Academy, my childhood prisons. I don't have many friends in Los Angeles, and Brooke has countless friends, so most nights find her out being sociable and me at home, alone. Thank God for JP. He lives in Orange County, so it's easy enough for him to drive north now and then, sit with me by the fire, smoke a cigar, and talk about life. His pastoring days seem like ancient history, but during our fireside talks, it feels as if he's speaking to me from an invisible pulpit. Not that I mind. I like being in his solitary congregation, his flock of one. In early 1998, he covers all the big topics: motivation, inspiration, legacy, destiny, rebirth. He helps me sustain the sense of mission I felt in Mandela's presence. One night I tell JP that I feel a remarkable confidence in my game and a new purpose for being on the court. So how come I still feel all this fear? Doesn't the fear ever go away? I hope not, he says. Fear is your fire, Andre. I wouldn't want to see you if it ever completely went out. Then JP looks around the house, takes a pull on his cigar, and says he can't help but notice my wife is never around. Whenever he comes over, no matter the day or time, Brooke seems to be out with friends. He asks if it bothers me. Hadn't noticed. I go to Monte Carlo in April 1998 and lose to Pete. He pumps his fist. No more pulling for me. The rivalry's back on. I go to Rome. I'm lying on my hotel bed, resting after a match. Back-to-back phone calls. First, Philly. He's sniffling, on the verge of an all-out tears. He tells me his wife, Marty, just gave birth to a baby girl. They're calling her Carter Bailey. My brother sounds different. Happy, of course, and bustling with pride, but also Philly sounds as though he feels blessed. Philly sounds as though he feels supremely lucky. I tell him how overjoyed I am for him and Marty, and I promise to get home as soon as I can. Brooke and I will come straight over and see my brand new niece, I say, my voice catching in my throat. The phone rings again. Is it an hour later? 3? In my memory, it will always feel like part of the same foggy moment, though the two calls might be days apart. It's my lawyers. They're on speakerphone. Andre, can you hear us? Andre? Yes, I hear you. Go ahead. Well, the ATP has read and carefully reviewed your heartfelt assertion of innocence. I'm pleased to say that your explanation has been accepted. Your failed test is thrown out. Henceforth, the matter will be considered closed. I'm not suspended? No. I'm free to go on with my career? My life? Yes. I asked several more times. You're sure? You mean this is really over? As far as the ATP is concerned, yes. They believe and accept your explanation. Gladly. I think everyone is eager to move on and put this behind them. I hang up and stare into space, thinking again and again, new life. I go to the 1998 French Open, and against Marat Safin from Russia, I hurt my shoulder. I always forget how weighty the ball can be on this particular clay. It's like hitting a shot put. The shoulder is agony, but I'm grateful for the hurt. I will never again take for granted the privilege of hurting on a tennis court. The doctor says I have an impingement, pressure on the nerve. I shut myself down for 2 weeks. No practice, no sparring, nothing. I miss the game. What's more, I let myself miss it. I enjoy and celebrate missing it. At Wimbledon, I faced Tommy Haas from Germany. In the third set, during a fierce tiebreak, the linesman makes an atrocious blunder. Haas hits a ball clearly long and wide, but the linesman calls it in, giving Haas a commanding 6-3 lead. It's the worst call of my career. I know the ball was out, know it without question, but all my arguing is for nothing. The other linesman and the umpire uphold the call. I go on to lose the tiebreak. Now I'm down 2-1, a steep hole. Officials pause the match, postpone the end because of darkness. Back at my hotel on the news, I see that the ball was several inches out. I can only laugh. The next day, taking the court, I'm still laughing. I still don't care about the call. I'm just happy to be here. Maybe I don't know yet how to be happy and play well at the same time. Haas wins the 4th set. Afterward, he tells reporters he grew up idolizing me. I used to look up to Agassi, he says. It's a very special win for me because he won Wimbledon in 1992, and I can say I beat Andre Agassi, a former number 1 who's won a couple of Grand Slams. It sounds like a eulogy. Does the guy think that he beat me or buried me? And did anyone in the press room bother to tell him I've actually won 3 slams? Brooke lands a role in an indie film called Black and White. She's elated because the director is a genius and the theme is race relations, and she'll get to ad-lib her lines and wear her hair in dreadlocks. She's also living in the woods for a month, bunking with her fellow actors, and when we talk on the phone, she says they all stay in character 24/7. Doesn't that sound cool? Cool, I say, rolling my eyes. On her first morning home, eating breakfast in the kitchen, she's full of stories about Robert Downey Jr. and Mike Tyson and Marla Maples and other stars of the movie. I try to be interested. She asks about my tennis, and she tries to be interested. We're tentative, like strangers. We're not like spouses sharing a kitchen, more like teens sharing a hostel. We're courteous, polite, even kind, but the vibe feels brittle, as if everything could shatter any minute. I put another log in the kitchen fireplace. So I have something to tell you, Brooke says. While I was away, I got a tattoo. I spin around. You're kidding. We go to the bathroom where there's more light, and she pulls down the waistline of her jeans and shows me. On her hip, a dog. Did it cross your mind to run that by me? The exact wrong thing to say. Controlling, she calls it. Since when does she need my permission to decorate her body? I go back to the kitchen, pour myself a second cup of coffee, and stare harder into the fire. Stare harder. Because of scheduling conflicts, Brooke and I couldn't take our honeymoon right after the wedding. But now, with her done filming and just done, it seems like the perfect time. We decide to go to Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands, southeast of Indigo Island. It's owned by billionaire Richard Branson, and he tells us we'll love it. He says, it's an island paradise. From the moment we land, we're out of sync. We can't get comfortable. We can't agree how to spend our time. I want to relax. Brooke wants to go scuba diving, and she wants me to go with her, which means taking a class. I tell her that of all things I want to do on my honeymoon, taking a class is right up there with having a colonoscopy while watching Friends. She insists. We spend hours at the pool, an instructor teaching us about wetsuits and tanks and masks. Water keeps leaking into my mask because I have a 5 o'clock shadow and my bristles prevent the mask from lying flush against my skin. I go up to the room and shave. When I come back down, the instructor says the final phase of training is an underwater card game. If you can sit calmly playing cards at the bottom of the pool, and if you can play a full game without needing to surface, then you're a scuba diver. So here I am in full scuba gear in the middle of the Caribbean, sitting at the bottom of a pool and playing Go Fish. I don't feel like a scuba diver. I feel like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. I climb out of the pool and tell Brooke, I can't do this. You never want to try anything new. Enjoy. Go out to the middle of the ocean if you want. Say hi to the Little Mermaid. I'll be in the room. I walk into the kitchen and order a large plate of French fries. Then I go up to the room, kick off my shoes, stretch out on the couch, and watch TV for the rest of the day. We leave the island paradise 3 days early. Honeymoon over. I'm in D.C. for the 1998 Leg Mason, another July heat wave, another withering D.C. tournament. Other players are carping about the heat, and ordinarily I'd be carping too, but I feel only a cool gratitude and a steely resolve, which I maintain in part by walking early every morning, writing out my goals. After putting them on paper, saying them aloud, I also say aloud, no shortcuts. Just before the tournament starts, during a final practice with Brad, I give a half-hearted effort. Perry drives me back to the hotel. I stare out the window, silent. Pull over, I say. Why? Just pull over. He steers onto the shoulder. Drive 2 miles ahead and wait for me. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? I'm not done. I didn't give my best today. I run 2 miles through Rock Creek Park, the same park where I gave my rackets away in 1987. With every step, I'm close to passing out, but I don't care. This run, even if it brings on heat stroke, will give me peace of mind tonight in that all-important 10 minutes before I fall asleep. I now live for that 10 minutes. I'm all about that 10 minutes. I've been cheered by thousands, booed by thousands, but nothing feels as bad as the booing inside your own head during those 10 minutes before you fall asleep. When I get to the car, my face is bright purple. I slide into the passenger seat, turn up the air conditioning, and smile at Perry. That's how we do it, he says, handing me a towel as he pulls away. I reach the final. I face Draper again. I remember wondering not too long ago how I ever beat him. I remember shaking my head in disbelief that I'd ever gotten past him. One of the low points of my life. Now I take him out in 50 minutes. 6-2, 6-0. I win the tournament for the 4th time. At the Mercedes-Benz Cup, I reach the semis without losing a set and ultimately win the whole thing. At the Du Maurier Open in Toronto, I face Pete again. He plays great in the first set, but wears down in the second. I beat him, which costs him the #1 ranking and moves me up to #9. I meet Krajicek in the semis. He's still feeling good about winning the 1996 Wimbledon, the only Dutchman ever to do it. In the process, he beat Pete in the quarters, handing Pete his first Wimbledon loss in years. But I'm not Pete, and I'm not me. Krajicek is down a set, serving at 3-4 in the second set, love 40. Triple break point. I rope the best return of my adult life. The ball seems to clear the net by a centimeter and leaves a smoking skid mark. It's a true old-fashioned rug burner. Krajicek shuts his eyes, shoves out his racket, hits a wild volley. It could go anywhere. He has no idea where it might go, but it's a winner. If his racket had been open another half degree, the ball would have hit somebody in the front row, and I would have broken serve and taken control of the match. Instead, he wins the point, holds serve, beats me in 3 sets, ends my streak of consecutive matches at 15. In the old days, I'd have had trouble getting over it. Now I tell Brad, that's tennis, right, BG? Entering the 1998 U.S. Open, I'm #8 in the world. The crowd is fully behind me, which always lifts my spirits, makes me lighter on my feet. In the round of 16, I meet Kusura, who seems to be trying to irk me with his serve. He tosses the ball, then stops, catches it, and tosses it again. I'm down 2 sets to love, sorely annoyed by this guy. Then I remember, the better you play Kuchera, the better he plays. Hit shit to him, he hits shit back. That's it. I'm playing too well. I'm also serving too well. When it's my serve, I imitate Kuchera. The crowd laughs. Then I hit big goofy moon balls. I irk Kuchera, irritate my way back into the match. Rain falls. The match is held over until tomorrow. Brooke and I go out for a late dinner with her friends. Actors. It's always actors. The sky has cleared, so we eat outside at a downtown restaurant with tables on the roof. Afterward, we're standing in the street, saying goodnight. Good luck tomorrow, the actors shout as they jump into cabs off to do some more drinking. Brooke watches them, turns to me. Her bottom lip is out. She's torn. She looks like a child caught between what she should do and what she wants to do. I take a swig from my liter bottle of gill water. Go, I say. Really? You won't mind? No, I lie. Have fun. I take a cab to Brooke's apartment. She sold the brownstone and bought this place on the Upper East Side. I miss the brownstone. I miss the front stoop where Gil stood guard. I even miss the eyeless, hairless African masks, if only because they were there when Brooke and I didn't wear masks with each other. I finish my gill water, slide into bed. I drift off, but snap awake when Brooke comes home hours later. Go back to sleep, she whispers. I try. I can't. I get up and take a sleeping pill. The next day, I have a titanic battle with Kuchera. I manage to tie the match, but he has more verve, more stamina. He outduels me in a tough 5th set. I'm sitting in a corner of our bathroom in Los Angeles, watching Brooke get ready to go out. I'm staying home again. We talk about why this is always so. She accuses me of refusing to participate in her world. She says I'm not open to new experiences, new people. I'm not interested in meeting her friends. I could be rubbing elbows every night with geniuses, writers, artists, actors, musicians, directors. I could be attending art gallery openings, world premieres, new plays, private screenings, but all I want to do is stay home, watch TV, and maybe, just maybe, if I'm feeling social, have JP and Joni over for dinner. I can't lie, that does sound like a perfect night. Andre, she says, they're all bad for you. Perry, JP, Philly, Brad, they coddle you, humor you, enable you. Not one of them has your best interests at heart. You think all my friends are bad for me? All but Gil. All? All, especially Perry. I know that she's been feuding with Perry, that he gave up his producer role on Suddenly Susan. I know she's irked that I haven't automatically taken her side in the feud, but I had no idea she was ready to write off everyone else on my team. Standing, turning from the mirror, she says, "Andre, I consider you a rose among thorns." A rose among... an innocent surrounded by people who are bleeding you dry. I'm not so innocent, and those thorns have helped me since I was a boy. Those thorns have saved my life. They're holding you back. They're keeping you from growing, from evolving. You're unevolved, Andre. Perry and I choose to set the academy in the worst neighborhood of West Las Vegas, where it can serve as a beacon. After months of scouting locations, trying to find a lot that's for sale and affordable and capable of accommodating an evolving campus, we find an 8-acre parcel that meets all our requirements. It's in the center of an urban wasteland, surrounded by pawn shops and homes on the verge of being torn down. It's on the site of the original Las Vegas, the long-forgotten outpost where settlers first arrived, which was later abandoned. I like that our school will be placed on a site that has a history of abandonment. Where better to initiate the kind of change we envision in the lives of children? At the groundbreaking ceremony, dozens of politicians and dignitaries and neighborhood leaders are on hand. Reporters, TV cameras, speeches. We push the golden shovel into the litter-strewn dirt. I look around, and I can actually hear the sound of children in the future, laughing and playing and asking questions. I can feel the procession of lives that will cross this spot and go forward from this spot. I become lightheaded, thinking of the dreams that will be formed here, the lives that will be shaped and saved. I'm so overcome by the thought of what will happen here in a few years and many decades after I'm gone that I don't hear the speeches. The future drowns out the present. Then someone jolts me from my reverie, tells me to stand over here for a group picture. A flash goes off, a happy occasion, but daunting. We have so far to go. The fight to get the school opened, accredited, funded, will be rough. If not for my progress these last few months, fighting to reconstitute my tennis career, to recapture my health and balance, I don't know that I'd have the stomach. People ask me where Brooke is, why she isn't here for the groundbreaking. I tell them the truth. I don't know. New Year's Eve, the close of 1998, Brooke and I throw our traditional New Year's Eve party. No matter how disconnected we may be, she insists that during the holidays we give no sign of trouble to our friends and family. It feels as if we're actors and our guests are an audience, and yet, even when the audience isn't there, she play acts, and I follow along. Hours before our guests arrive, we pretend to be happy, a dress rehearsal of sorts. Hours after they're gone, we continue pretending, a kind of cast party. Tonight there seem to be more of Brooke's friends and family than mine in the audience. Included in this group is Brooke's new dog, an albino pit bull named Sam. It growls at my friends. It growls as if it's been briefed on what Brooke thinks of all of them. JP and I sit in a corner of the living room, eyeballing the dog, which is lying at Brooke's feet, eyeballing us. That dog would be cool, JP says, if it were sitting here. He points to the ground beside my feet. I laugh. No, really, that's not a cool dog. That's not your dog. This is not your house. This is not your life. Andre, there are red flowers on this chair. I look at the chair where he's sitting and see it as if for the first time. Andre, he says, red flowers. Red flowers. As I pack for the 1999 Australian Open, Brooke frowns and stomps around the house. She's irritated by my attempted comeback. It can't be that she resents my hitting the road, given all the tension between us, so I can only assume she thinks I'm wasting my time. She's certainly not alone. I kiss her goodbye. She wishes me luck. I reach the round of 16. The night before my match, I phone her. This is hard, she says. What is? Us. This. Yes, it is. There's so much distance between us, she says. Australia is far. No, even when we're in the same room. Distance. I think, you said all my friends suck. How could there not be distance? I say, I know. When you get home, she says, we should talk. We need to talk. What about? She repeats, when you get home. She sounds overwhelmed. Is she crying? She tries to change the subject. Who do you play? I tell her. She never recognizes the names or understands what they mean. She asks, is it on TV? I don't know. Probably. I'll watch. Okay. Good night. Hours later, I play Spadea, my practice partner from New Year's Day 1 year ago. He isn't half the player I am. There have been days in my prime when I could have beaten him with a spatula, but I've been on the road for 32 of the last 52 weeks, not to mention the training with Gil, the struggles with the school, and the maneuvering with Brooke. My mind is still on the phone with Brooke. Spadea edges me in 4 sets. The newspapers are cruel. They point out that I've been ousted early from my last 6 slams. Fair enough. But they say I'm embarrassing myself. Too long at the fair, they say. Agassi doesn't seem to know when to hang it up. He's won 3 slams. He's nearly 29 years old. How much more does he really hope to accomplish? Every other article contains the threadbare phrase, at an age when most of his peers are thinking about retiring. I walk in the door and call out Brooke's name. Nothing. It's mid-morning. She must be at the studio. I spend the day waiting for her to come home. I try to rest, but it's hard with an albino pit bull eyeing you. When Brooke gets home, it's dark and the weather has turned bad. A rainy, wintry night. She suggests we go out for dinner. Sushi? Lovely. We drive to one of our favorite places, Matsuhisa, sit at the bar. She orders sake. I'm starved. I ask for all my favorites, the bluefin sashimi, the crab toro cucumber avocado hand roll. Brooke sighs. You always order the same thing. I'm too hungry and tired to bother about her disapproval. She sighs again. What's wrong? I can't even look you in the eye right now. Her eyes are wet. Brooke? No, really, I can't look at you. Easy does it. Take a deep breath. Please, try not to cry. Let's get the check and go. Let's just talk about this at home. I don't know why, but after all that's been written about me in the last few days, it's important that tomorrow's newspapers don't report that I was seen fighting with my wife. In the car, Brooke is still crying. I'm not happy, she says. We're not happy. We haven't been happy for so very long, and I don't know if we can ever be happy again if we stay together. So, there it is. There's that. I walk into the house, a zombie. I pull a suitcase out from the closet, which I notice is so organized, so neat, it's unsettling. I realize how difficult it must be for Brooke, living with my losses, my silences, my peaks and valleys. But I also notice how little space in this closet is allotted to me, symbolic. I think of JP. This is not your house. I grab the few hangers holding my clothes and carry them downstairs. Brooke is in the kitchen, sobbing, not crying as she did at the restaurant and in the car, but sobbing. She's sitting on a stool at the Butcher Block Island, always an island. One way or another, we spend all our time together on islands. We are islands, 2 islands, and I can't recall when it was different. She asks, "What are you doing? What's going on?" "What do you mean? I'm leaving. It's raining. Wait until morning." Why wait? No time like the present. I make a pile of essentials, clothes, blender, Jamaican coffee beans, French press, and a gift Brooke recently gave me. the scary painting Philly and I saw years ago at the Louvre. She commissioned an artist to make an exact replica. I look at the man hanging from the cliff. How has he not fallen off that cliff by now? I throw everything in the back seat of my car, a mint-condition convertible Eldorado Cadillac, 1976, the last year they made them. The car is a pure, lustrous white, lily white, so I named it Lily. I turn Lily's key, and the dashboard lights come on like an old TV set. The odometer reads 23,000 miles. It strikes me that Lily is the exact opposite of me, old with low mileage. I peel out of the driveway. A mile from the house, I start crying. Through my tears and the gathering fog, I can barely see the chrome wreath of the hood ornament. But I keep going and going until I reach San Bernardino. The fog is now snow. The pass through the mountains is closed. I phone Perry and ask him if there's another way to Vegas. What's wrong? I tell him. Trial separation, I say. We don't know each other anymore. I think about the day Wendy and I broke up, when I pulled over and phoned Perry. I think of all that's happened since, and yet here I am, pulled over again, phoning Perry with a broken heart. He says there's no other way to get to Vegas, so I need to make a U-turn, head back toward the coast, and stop at the first motel that has a room. I drive slowly, picking my way through the snow, the car spinning and skidding on the slick highway. I stop at every motel, no vacancy. Finally, I get to the last available bed at a flea bag in Nowhere, California. I lie on the smelly bedspread, interrogating myself. How the hell did you get here? How did it come to this? Why are you reacting like this? Your marriage is far from perfect. You're not even sure why you got married in the first place, or if you ever wanted to get married. So why are you such an emotional wreck thinking it might be over? Because you hate losing, and divorce is one tough loss. But you've suffered through losses before. Why does this one feel different? Because you don't see any way that, as a result of this loss, you can improve. I phoned Brooke 2 days later. I'm contrite. She's hardened. We both need time to think, she says. We shouldn't talk for a while. We need to go inside ourselves, not interfere with each other. Inside ourselves? What does that even mean? For how long? 3 weeks. 3? Where did you come up with that number? She doesn't answer. She suggests I use the time to see a therapist. She's a small, dark woman in a small, dark office in Vegas. I sit on a love seat. How exquisitely ironic. She sits in a chair 3 feet away. She listens without interrupting. I'd rather she interrupted. I want answers. The more I talk, the more acutely aware I become of talking to myself. As always, this isn't the way to save a marriage. Marriages don't get saved or solved by one person talking. I wake later that night on the floor. My back is stiff. I go out to the living room and sit on the couch with a pad and pen. I write pages and pages to Brooke, another pleading handwritten letter, but this one is all true. In the morning, I fax the pages to Brooke's house. I watch the pages go through the fax machine, and I think of how it all started, 5 years ago, sliding the pages into Philly's fax machine, holding my breath, waiting for the witty, flirty reply from a hut somewhere in Africa. This time, there is no reply. I fax her again, then again. She's much farther away than Africa. I phone. I know you said 3 weeks, but I need to talk to you. I think we should meet. I think we need to be working through these things together. Oh, Andre, she says. I wait. Oh, Andre, she says again, you don't understand. You just don't get it. This isn't about us. This is about you individually and me individually. I tell her she's right. I don't understand. I tell her I don't see how we got here. I tell her how unhappy I've been for so long. I tell her I'm sorry that we've grown distant, that I've grown cold. I tell her about the whirl, the constant whirl, the centrifugal force of this fucked up tennis life. I tell her that I haven't known who I am for the longest time, maybe ever. I tell her about the search for a self, the endless monologue in my head, the depression. I tell her everything in my heart, and it all comes out halting, clumsy, inarticulate. It's embarrassing, but necessary, because I don't want to lose her. I've had enough losing, and I know if I'm honest, she'll give me a second chance. She says that she's sorry I'm suffering, but she can't solve it. She can't fix me. I need to fix myself, by myself. Listening to the dial tone, I feel resigned, calm. The phone call now seems like the brief, curt handshake at the net between two mismatched opponents. I eat something, watch TV, go to bed early in the morning. I phone Perry and tell him I want the fastest divorce in the history of divorce. I give my platinum wedding band to a friend and point him to the nearest pawn shop. Take their first offer, I tell him. When he brings me the cash, I make a donation to my new school in the name of Brooke Krista Shields. For better or for worse, in sickness and in health, she will forever be one of the original benefactors. Chapter 22. The first tournament of my new Brookless life is San Jose. JP drives up from Orange County for a few days of emergency counseling. He encourages, advises, cajoles, promises that better days are ahead. He understands I have good moments and bad. One moment I say, to hell with her, and the next moment I miss her. He says it's all par for the course. He tells me that for the last few years my mind has been a swamp, stagnant, fetid, seeping in every direction. Now it's time for my mind to be a river, raging, channeled, and therefore pure. I like it. I tell him I'll try to keep this image in mind. He talks and talks, and as long as he's talking, I'm okay. I'm in control. His advice feels like an oxygen cup on my mouth. Then he leaves, drives back to Orange County, and I'm a mess again. I'm standing on the court in the middle of a match, thinking about everything but my opponent. I'm asking myself, if you took a vow before God and your family, and if you said I do, and now you don't, what does that make you? A failure. I walk in circles, cursing myself. The linesman hears me call myself an obscene name and walks past me across the court to the umpire's chair. He reports me to the umpire for using foul language. The umpire gives me a warning. Now here comes the linesman, walking back across the court, past me, to resume his position. I glare. The mealy-mouthed fink, the pathetic tattletale. I know I shouldn't. I know there will be hell to pay, but I can't hold it in. You're a cocksucker. He stops, turns, marches straight back to the umpire, reports me again. This time I'm docked a point. The linesman comes back again, past me, to resume his position. I say, you're still a cocksucker. He stops, turns, walks back to the umpire, and heaves a sigh and pitches forward in his chair. The umpire calls over to the supervisor, who also sighs, then beckons me. Andre, did you call the linesman a cocksucker? Do you want me to lie or tell you the truth? I need to know if you said it. I said it. And you want to know something? He is a cocksucker. They kicked me out of the tournament. I head back to Vegas. Brad phones. Indian Wells is coming up, he says. I tell Brad that I'm going through some stuff right now, but I can't tell him what, and Indian Wells is out of the question. I have to get well, get right, which means spending lots of time with Gil. Every night we buy a sack of hamburgers and drive around the city. I'm breaking training, big time, but Gil sees again that I need comfort food. He also sees that he might lose a finger if he tries to take the hamburger away from me. We drive into the mountains, up and down the strip, listening to Gil's special CD. He calls it Belly Cramps. Gil's philosophy in all things is to seek the pain, woo the pain, recognize that pain is life. If you're heartbroken, Gil says, don't hide from it, wallow in it. We hurt, he says, so let's hurt. Belly Cramps is his medley of the most painful love songs ever written. We listen to them over and over until we know the lyrics by heart. After a song has played, Gil will speak the lyrics. For my money, his speaking is better than anyone's singing. He puts all recording artists to shame. I'd rather hear Gil talk a song than Sinatra croon it. With each passing year, Gil's voice grows deeper, richer, and softer, and when he speaks the chorus of a torch song, he sounds as if he's channeling Moses and Elvis. He deserves a Grammy for his rendition of Barry Manilow's Please Don't Be Scared. 'Cause feeling pain's a hard way to know you're still alive. But his take on Ray Clark's version of We Can't Build a Fire in the Rain knocks me out every time. One line in particular resonates with us both. Just going through the motions and pretending we have something left to gain. When I'm not with Gil, I'm locked in my new house, the one I bought with Brooke for those infrequent occasions when we came home to Vegas. Now I think of it as Bachelor Pad 2. I like the house. It's more my style than the French country place where she and I lived in Pacific Palisades, but it doesn't have a fireplace. I can't think without a fireplace. I must have fire, so I hire a guy to build one. While it's under construction, the house is a disaster area. Huge plastic sheets hang from the walls. Tarps cover the furniture. A thick coat of dust lies everywhere. One morning, staring into the unfinished fireplace, I think about Mandela. I think about the promises I've made to myself and others. I reach for the phone and dial Brad. Come to Vegas. I'm ready to play. He says he's on his way. Unbelievable. He could dump me. No one would blame him. But instead, he drops everything the moment I call. I love the guy. Now, while he's on his way, I worry that he won't be comfortable because of all the construction. Then I smile. I have 2 leather club chairs set in front of a large screen TV and a wet bar stocked with Bud Ice. All Brad's basic needs will be met. 5 hours later, he comes through the door, flops onto one of the club chairs, opens a beer, and instantly looks as if he's nestled in his mother's arms. I join him in a beer. 6 o'clock rolls around. We switch to frozen margaritas. At 8 o'clock, we're still in the club chairs, Brad flipping channels, looking for sports highlights. I say, listen, Brad, I need to tell you something. It's something I should have told you a while ago. He's staring at the TV. I'm staring into the unfinished fireplace, imagining flames. You see that game the other night? He asks. No one is beating Duke this year. Brad, this is important. Something you need to know. Brooke and I, we're done. We're not going to make it. He turns. He looks me dead in the eye. Then he puts his elbows on his knees and hangs his head. I had no idea he'd take it this hard. He stays this way for 3 full seconds. Finally, he looks up and gives me a big, toothy smile. He says, "It's going to be a great year." What? We're going to have a great year. But this is the best thing that's ever happened to your tennis. I'm miserable. What are you talking about? Miserable? Then you're looking at this all wrong. You don't have kids. You're free as a bird. If you had kids, okay, there would be real problems. But this way, you get off scot-free. I guess. You've got the world by the balls. You're solo, rid of all that drama. He looks deranged. He looks delirious. He tells me we have Key Biscayne coming up, then clay season, then good things about to happen. The burden is off you now, he says. Instead of lying around Vegas feeling your pain, let's go put some pain on your opponents. You know what? You're right. That calls for another batch of margaritas. At 9 o'clock, I say, we should think about food. But Brad is peacefully, contentedly licking salt from the rim of his glass, and he's found tennis on the TV, a night match in Indian Wells, Steffi Graf versus Serena Williams. He wheels and gives me the toothy smile again. That's your play right there. He points to the TV. He says, Steffi Graf, that's who you should be with. Yeah, right. She wants no part of me. I've told Brad the stories, the 1991 French Open, the 1992 Wimbledon ball. I've tried and tried. No dice. Steffi Graf is like the French Open. I just can't get across that particular finish line. That's all in the past, Brad says. Besides, your approach back then was so un-Andre. Asking once and backing off? Strictly amateur. Since when do you let other people run your game? Since when do you take no for an answer? I nod. Maybe. You just need a look, Brad says. A crack of light, a window, an opening. The next tournament where Steffi and I are both scheduled to play is Key Biscayne. Brad tells me to relax. He'll get me close. He knows Steffi's coach, Heinz Gunthardt. He'll talk to Heinz about setting up a practice session. The moment we arrive in Key Biscayne, Brad phones Heinz, who's surprised by the proposition. He says no. He says Steffi would never agree to break her regular preparation schedule for a practice session with a stranger. She's too regimented. Also, she's shy. She'd be highly uncomfortable. But Brad is persistent, and Heinz must have some trace of romantic in him. He suggests Brad and I book the court for right after Steffi's practice session, then arrive early. Heinz will then casually suggest that Steffi hit a few balls with me. It's all set, Brad says. High noon. You, me, Steffi, Heinz. Let's get this party started. First things first, I phone JP and tell him to get his ass to Florida. Pronto. I need advice. I need a sounding board. I need a wingman. Then I hit the court and practice for my practice session. On the appointed day, Brad and I get to the court 40 minutes early. I've never been so breathless. I've played 7 times in the final of a Grand Slam, and I never felt like this. We find Heinz and Steffi deeply absorbed in the practice session. We stand off to the side, watching. After a few minutes, Heinz calls Steffi to the net and says something to her. He points to us. She looks. I smile. She doesn't. She says a few words to Heinz, and Heinz says a few words, and then she shakes her head. But when she jogs back to the baseline, Heinz waves me onto the court. I tie my shoes quickly. I pull a racket out of the bag and walk onto the court, then impulsively whip off my shirt. It's shameless, I realize, but I'm desperate. Steffi looks and does a barely detectable double take. Thank you, Gil. We start to hit. She's flawless, of course, and I'm struggling to get the ball over the net. The net is your biggest enemy. Relax, I tell myself. Stop thinking. Come on, Andre, it's only a practice session. But I can't help myself. I've never seen a woman so beautiful. Standing still, she's a goddess. In motion, she's poetry. I'm a suitor, but also a fan. I've wondered for so long what Steffi Graf's forehand feels like. I've watched her on TV and at tournaments, and I've wondered how the ball feels when it comes flying off her racket. A ball feels different off every player's racket. There are minute but concrete subtleties of force and spin. Now hitting with her, I feel her subtleties. It's like touching her, though we're 40 feet apart. Every forehand is foreplay. She hits a series of backhands, carving up the court with her famous slice. I need to impress her with my ability to take that slice and do whatever I want with it. But it's harder than I thought. I miss one. I yell to her, "You're not going to get away with that again." She says nothing. She hits another slice. I sit down on my backhand and I hit the ball as hard as I can. She nets the return. I yell, "That shot pays a lot of bills for me." Again, nothing. She merely hits the next one deeper and slicier. Generally, during my practice sessions, Brad likes to keep busy. He chases balls, offers pointers, runs his mouth. Not this time. He's sitting in the umpire chair, his eyes peeled, a lifeguard on a shark-infested beach. Whenever I look in his direction, he mutters one word, "Beautiful." Around the edges of the court, people are beginning to gather, to gawk. A few photographers snap photos. I wonder why. Is it the rarity of a male and female player practicing? Or is it that I'm catatonic and missing every third ball? From a distance, it looks as if Steffi is giving a lesson to a shirtless, grinning mute. After we hit for 1 hour and 10 minutes, she waves and comes to the net. "Thank you very much," she says. I trot to the net and say, "The pleasure was all mine." I manage to act nonchalant until she starts to use the net post to stretch out her legs. All the blood rushes to my head. I need to do something physical or I might lose consciousness. I've never stretched before, but now seems like a good time to start. I put a leg on the net post and pretend my back is flexible. We stretch, talk about the tour, complain about the travel, compare notes on different cities we've enjoyed. I ask, "What's your favorite city? When tennis is over, where do you imagine living?" "Oh, it's a tie, I think, between New York and San Francisco." I think, "Have you ever thought of living in Las Vegas?" I say, "My two favorites also." She smiles. "Well," she says, "thanks again. Anytime." We do the European double-cheek kiss. Brad and I take the ferry back to Fisher Island, where JP is waiting. The three of us spend the rest of the night talking about Steffi as if she's an opponent, which she is. Brad treats her like Rafter or Pete. She has strengths. She has weaknesses. He breaks down her game, coaches me up. Now and then JP phones Joni, puts her on speaker, and we try to get the female point of view. The conversation continues over the next 2 days. At dinner in the steam room, at the hotel bar, the three of us talk about nothing but Steffi. We're plotting, using military jargon, like recon and intel. I feel as if we're planning a land and sea invasion of Germany. I say, "She seemed kind of cool to me." Brad says, "She has no idea you split from your missus. It hasn't been in the papers yet. Nobody knows. You need to let her know your status and tell her how you feel about her." "I'll send her flowers." "Yes," JP says, "flowers are good, but you can't send them under your name. It might get leaked to the press. We'll have Joni send them, with your name on the card." Good thinking. Joni goes to a shop in South Beach and, under my directive, buys every rose in the place. She essentially orders a rose garden transplanted to Steffi's room. On the card, I thank Steffi for the practice session and invite her to dinner. Then I sit back and wait for the call. There is no call. All day. Or the next day. No matter how much I stare at it and shout at it, the phone refuses to ring. I pace, pick my cuticles until they bleed. Brad comes to my room and worries that he might need to give me a sedative. I shout, "This is bullshit." Okay, she's not interested. I get it. But how about a thank you? If she doesn't call by tonight, I swear I'm calling her. We move to the patio. Brad looks off and says, "Uh-oh." "What?" JP says, "I think I see your flowers." They point to the patio of a room across the way. Steffi's room, obviously, because there on the patio table are my giant bouquets of long-stemmed red roses. "Not sure that's a good sign," JP says. "No," Brad says. "NG. Not good." We decide that I'll wait for Steffi to win her first match, a foregone conclusion, and when she does, I'll phone. JP preps me for the call. He plays the role of Steffi. We rehearse every scenario. He throws me every line she might possibly utter. Steffi beats her hapless first-round opponent in 42 minutes. I've tipped the ferry captains to phone me the moment they see her step on the ferry. 50 minutes after the match, I get a call. She's aboard. I give her 15 minutes to reach the island, 10 minutes to go from the dock to the hotel, and then I phone the operator and ask for her room. I know her room number because I can still see my damn flowers sitting dejectedly on the patio table. She picks up the phone on the second ring. "Hi, it's Andre." "Oh, I just wanted to call and make sure you got my flowers." "I did." "Oh." Silence. She says, "I don't want any misunderstandings between us. My boyfriend is here." "I see. Well, okay, I understand." Silence. "Good luck with the tournament." "Thank you. You too." Yawning canyon of silence. "Well, goodbye." "Bye." I fall on the couch and stare at the floor. "I have one question for you," JP says. "What could she possibly have said that would put that look on your face? What scenario did we not rehearse? Her boyfriend is here. Oh. Then I smile. I take a page from Brad's positive thinking playbook. Maybe she's sending me a message. Obviously, her boyfriend was sitting right there. So she couldn't talk, and rather than say, I have a boyfriend, case closed, leave me alone, she said, my boyfriend is here. So, I think she's saying there's a chance. JP says he'll fix me a drink. The tournament provides a small measure of distraction. Sadly, the distraction lasts only a few hours. In the first round, against Dominique Erbity from Slovakia, I can think only of Steffi and her boyfriend enjoying or awkwardly ignoring my roses. Erbity whoops me in 3 sets. I'm out of the tournament. I should leave Fisher Island, but I stick around, sitting on the beach, plotting with JP and Brad. Steffi's boyfriend probably showed up unexpectedly, Brad says. Plus, she still doesn't know you're divorced. She still thinks you're married to Brooke. Give it time. Let the news come out. Then make your move. You're right. Brad mentions Hong Kong. In light of my performance against Habarti, clearly I need another tournament before we head into clay season. Let's go to Hong Kong, he says. Let's not sit around anymore thinking and talking about Steffi. Next thing I know, I'm settling into a seat on an airplane bound for China. I look at the screen at the head of the cabin. Estimated flight time, 15 hours, 37 minutes. I look at Brad. 15 hours and 37 minutes? To obsess about Steffi? I don't think so. I unbuckle my seatbelt and stand. Where are you going? I'm getting off this plane. Don't be ridiculous. Sit down. Relax. We're here. We're all packed. Let's go play. I ease back into my seat, order 2 Belvederes, swallow a sleeping pill, and after what feels like a month, I'm on the other side of the earth. I'm in a car being whisked along a Hong Kong highway, looking up at the soaring International Finance Center. I phone Perry. When is the news of my divorce going to break? The lawyers are hashing out the details, he says. Meantime, you and Brooke need to work on the statement. We fax drafts back and forth. Her team, my team, lawyers and publicists have a go at it. Brooke adds a word. I delete a word. Faxes and more faxes. What began with faxes ends with faxes. The statement is about to be released, Perry says. It should be in the papers any day now. Brad and I run down the lobby every morning, buy up all the newspapers, then sit over breakfast and scan every page, looking for the headline. For the first time in my memory, I can't wait for newspapers to report about my private life. Every day I say a prayer. Let this be the day that Steffi learns I'm free. Day after day, it's not there. It's like waiting for Steffi's call. If only I had hair so I could pull it out. Finally, the cover of People carries a photo of Brooke and me. The headline reads, Suddenly Split. It's April 26, 1999, 3 days before my 29th birthday, almost exactly 2 years after our wedding. Reborn, renewed, I win Hong Kong. But on the flight home, I can't lift my arm. I rush from the airport to Gil's house. He examines the shoulder, grimaces. He doesn't like the look of it. We might need to shut everything down and skip the entire clay season. No, Brad says. We have to be in Rome for the Italian Open. Please, I never win that thing. Let's forget it. No, Brad says. Let's go to Rome, see how the shoulder does. You didn't want to go to Hong Kong, right? But you won, right? I see a trend developing. I let him drag me onto a plane, and in Rome I lose in the 3rd round to Rafter, whom I just beat at Indian Wells. Now I really want to shut it down. But Brad talks me into going to play the World Team Cup in Germany. I don't have the strength to argue with him. The weather in Germany is cold, dreary, meaning the ball plays heavy. I look at Brad with murder in my eye. I can't believe he's dragged me to Dusseldorf with a sore shoulder. In the middle of the first set, down 3-4, I can't take another swing. I quit. That's it. We're going home, I tell Brad. I have to get my shoulder right, and I have to figure out this thing with Steffi. As we board the flight from Frankfurt to San Francisco, I'm not speaking to Brad. I'm mad as hell. We have 12 hours ahead of us, side by side, and I tell him, here's how it's going to be, Brad. I haven't slept all night because of this shoulder. I'm going to swallow 2 sleeping pills right now, and I'm not going to listen to you for the next 12 hours, and it's going to be heaven. You hear me? And when we land, the first thing I want you to do is pull me out of the French Open. He leans into me and badgers me for 2 hours. You're not going back to Vegas. You're not pulling out. You're coming with me to my house in San Francisco. I've got the guest cottage set up with plenty of firewood, the way you like it. And then you and I are flying back to Paris, and you're going to play. It's the only slam you don't have, and you've always wanted it, and you can't win if you don't play. French Open? Please. You must be kidding. That ship has sailed. How do you know? Who's to say this isn't your year? Trust me, in no sense is 1999 my year. Look, you were just starting to show glimpses of the player you used to be. I saw something in you I hadn't seen in years. We have to stay after that. I see right through him. It's not that he thinks the French Open is remotely winnable. But if I pull out of the French Open, it will be easier to pull out of Wimbledon, and there goes the whole year. Goodbye comeback. Hello retirement. Landing in San Francisco, I'm once again too tired to argue. I slide into Brad's car, and he drives me to his place and puts me in the cottage. I sleep for 12 hours. When I wake, a chiropractor is there, ready to treat me. It's not going to work, I say. It's going to work, Brad says. I get treatments twice a day. The rest of the time I watch the fog and stoke the fire. By Friday, I do feel better. Brad smiles. We hit balls on his backyard court, 20 minutes, then I hit a few serves. Call Gilly, I say. Let's go to Paris. In our Paris hotel, Brad is looking over the draw. I ask, how is it? He says nothing. Brad? Couldn't be any worse. Seriously? Nightmare. Your first rounder is Franco Scolari, lefty from Argentina. Probably the roughest guy in the draw who's not seeded. An absolute beast on clay. I can't believe you talked me into this. We practice Saturday and Sunday. Monday we start. I'm in the locker room getting my feet taped, and I realize I forgot to pack underwear in my tennis bag. The match is in 5 minutes. Can I play without underwear? I don't even know if it's physically possible. Brad jokes that I can borrow his. I will never want to win that badly. Then I think, this is perfect. I didn't want to be here anyway. I shouldn't be here. I'm playing the quintessential dirt rat in the first round on center court. Why shouldn't I go commando? There are 16,000 people in the stands screaming like peasants overrunning Versailles. Before I've broken a sweat, I'm down a set and a break. I look to my box, stare at Gil and Brad. Help me. Brad stares back, stone-faced. Help yourself. I hitch up my shorts, take the deepest breath possible, and let it out slowly. I tell myself that it can't get any worse. I tell myself, just win one set. Winning one set off this guy would be an accomplishment. One set, try for that. Scaling down the task makes it seem manageable and makes me looser. I start ripping my backhand, hitting my spots. The crowd stirs. They haven't seen me play well here in a long time. Something inside me stirs too. The second set turns into a street fight and a wrestling match and pistols at 50 paces. Scolari doesn't give an inch, and I have to bludgeon the set from him 7-5. Then a shocking thing happens. I win the third set. Now I start to feel hope, actual hope, rising from my toes. My body is tingling. I glance at Scolari. He's hopeless. His face is expressionless. One of the fittest guys on the tour, he's unable to take a step. He's done. In the fourth set, I roll him, and all at once I'm walking off the court with one of the most improbable wins of my career. Back at the hotel, covered with clay, I tell Gil, "Did you see him? Did you see that dirt rat cramp? We made him cramp, Gil." I saw. The elevator is tiny. There's room for 5 normal-sized humans, or else me and Gil. Brad tells us to go ahead. He'll catch the next one. I hit the button, and on the way up, Gil leans against one corner of the elevator. I lean against the other. I feel him staring. What? Nothing. He keeps staring. What is it, Gil? Nothing. He smiles and says again, nothing. In the second round, I stick with no underwear. I will never don underwear again. Something works, you don't change. I play Arnaud Clément from France. I win the first set 6-2. I'm up in the second, playing the best I've ever played on clay. I'm rocking him to sleep. Then Clément wakes up. He wins the second set, and the third. How did that just happen? I'm serving at 4-5, love 30 in the fourth set. I'm 2 points from being bounced out of this tournament. I think 2 points. 2 points. He hits a forehand inside-out winner. I walk over and check the mark. It's out. I circle the mark with the racket. The linesman runs out to confirm. He examines it like Hercule Poirot. He puts up his hand. Out! If that thing had caught the line, I'd be down triple match point. Instead, I'm at 15-30. What a difference. What if... But I plead with myself to stop thinking about what if. Don't think, Andre. Turn off your mind. I play 2 minutes of the best tennis I'm capable of playing. I hold. We're at 5-all. Clément is serving. If I were a different player, he would have the edge. But I'm my father's son. I'm a returner. I let nothing pass me. Then I run him from side to side, back and forth. His tongue starts to hang from his mouth. Just when he and the crowd think I can't run him any more, I run him a little more. He's a metronome. Then he's a goner. He pitches forward as if shot in the head. His cramps have cramps. He calls for medical treatment. I break him. Then I hold easily to win the fourth set. I win the fifth set 6-0. In the locker room, Brad is talking to himself, to me, to anyone who will listen. His back tire blew out. Did you see? Holy shit. His back tire. Boom. Reporters ask if I feel lucky that Clément cramped. Lucky? I worked hard for those cramps. At the hotel, riding the tiny elevator with Gil, my face is covered with clay. My eyes and ears and mouth are filled with clay. My clothes are spotted with clay. I look down. I never noticed before how Roland Garros clay, when it dries, looks like blood. I'm trying to brush it off when I feel Gil staring again. What is it? Nothing, he says, smiling. In the third round, I'm playing Chris Woodruff. I've played him once before, here, in 1996, and lost. A disastrous loss. I secretly liked my chances that year. This time, I know from the start that I'm going to win. I have no doubt that I'll have my revenge, served ice cold. I beat him 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 on the same court where he beat me. Brad requested it because he wanted me to remember, to make it personal. I'm in the round of 16 at the French Open for the first time since 1995. My reward is Carlos Moya, the defending champion. Not to worry, Brad says. Even though Moya's the champ and real good on the dirt, you can take away his time. You can bull rush him, stand inside the baseline, hit the ball early, and apply pressure. Go after his backhand, but if you have to bring it to his forehand, do it with purpose, with heat. Don't just go there. Drive it hard up Main Street. Make him feel you. In the first set, it's me feeling Moya. I lose the set fast. In the second set, I fall down 2 breaks. I'm not playing my game. I'm not doing anything Brad said to do. I look up at my box and Brad screams, "Come on, let's go." Back to basics. I make Moya run and run. I establish a sadistic rhythm, chanting to myself, "Run, Moya, run." I make him run laps. I make him run the Boston Marathon. I win the second set, and the crowd is cheering. In the third set, I run Moya more than I've run the last 3 opponents combined, and suddenly, all at once, he's cooked. He wants no part of this. He didn't sign on for anything like this. As the fourth set opens, I'm oozing confidence. I hop up and down. I want Moya to see how much energy I've got left. He sees and he sighs. I put him away and sprint to the locker room. Brad gives me a fist bump that almost breaks my fist. In the hotel elevator, I see Gil staring again. Gil, what is it? I have a feeling. What feeling? I feel like you're on a collision course. With what? Destiny. I'm not sure I believe in destiny. We'll see. We can't build a fire in the rain. We have 2 days off. 2 days to relax and think about something besides tennis. Brad discovers that Springsteen is in our hotel. He's playing a concert in Paris. Brad suggests we attend. He scores us 3 seats down front. At first, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's such a good idea to go out and paint Paris red. But the TV has mostly news about the tournament, which isn't good for my mood either. I remember the tennis official who mocked my playing a challenger, comparing it to Springsteen playing corner bar. Yes, I say, let's take the night off. Let's go see the boss. Brad, Gil, and I enter the arena a few seconds before Springsteen comes on stage. As we run down the aisle, several people spot me and point. A man yells my name. Andre! Allez, Andre! A few more men take up the cry. We slip into our seats. A spotlight scans the crowd and suddenly lands on us. Our faces appear on the giant video screen above the stage. The crowd roars. They begin to chant, Allez, Agassi! Allez, Agassi! Some 16,000 people, about the same number as the crowd at Roland Garros, are chanting, cheering, stomping their feet. Allez, Agassi! It has a lilt the way they chant it, a bouncing rhythm like a children's nursery rhyme. Deet, deet, da, da, da. It's contagious. Brad chants too. I stand, wave. I'm honored, inspired. I wish I could play the next match right now. Here, Allez, Agassi! I stand once more, my heart in my throat. Then, at last, the boss comes on. In the quarters, I face Marcello Filippini from Uruguay. The first set is easy. The second set is easy. I run him, he crumbles. Tramps like us, baby, we were born to run. I enjoy this as much as winning, cutting the legs out from under my opponents, seeing the many years with Gil pay dividends in one concentrated 2-week span. I win the third set without any resistance from Filippini, 6-0. You're maiming guys, Brad shouts. Oh my God, Andre, you're freaking maiming them. I'm in the semis. My opponent is Habarti, who just whooped me in Key Biscayne when I was in stupor over Steffi. I win the first set, 6-4. I win the next set, 7-6. Clouds roll in. A light drizzle starts to fall. The ball is getting heavier, which keeps me from playing offense. Habarti takes advantage and wins the third set 6-3. In the fourth, he goes up 2-1, and a match that I had won is slipping away. He's down a set, but clearly he's seized the momentum. I feel as if I'm just hanging on. I look to Brad. He points to the skies. Stop the match. I signal the supervisor and umpire. I point to the clay, which is mud. I tell them I'm not playing under these conditions. It's dangerous. They examine the mud like miners panning for gold. They confer. They halt play. At dinner with Gil and Brad, I'm in a foul mood because I know the match was turning against me. Only the rain saved me. Otherwise, we'd be in the airport right now. And now I can't believe I have all night to stew over the match, to worry about tomorrow. I stare at my food, silent. Brad and Gil discuss me as if I'm not at the table. He's okay physically, Gil says. He's in fine condition, so give him a good speech, Brad. Coach him up. What do you want me to say? Think of something. Brad takes a swig of beer and turns to me. Okay, Andre, look. Here's the deal. I need 28 minutes from you tomorrow. What? 28 minutes. It's a sprint through the tape. You can do it. You've got 5 games to win. That's all. And that shouldn't take any more than 28 minutes. The weather, the ball, The weather is going to be fine. They're saying rain. No, it's going to be fine. Just give us 28 great minutes. Brad knows my mind, the way it works. He knows that order, specificity, a clear and precise goal are like candy to me. But does he also know the weather? For the first time, it crosses my mind that Brad isn't a coach, but a prophet. Back at the hotel, Gil and I squeeze into the elevator. It's going to be okay, Gil says. Yeah. Before bed, he forces me to drink my Gil water. I don't want to. Drink it. When I'm so hydrated that I'm pissing pure cottony white, he lets me go to sleep. The next day, I come out tight. Down 1-2 in the fourth, serving, I fall behind 2 break points. No. I fight back to deuce. I hold. The set is now tied. Having averted disaster, I'm suddenly loose, happy. It's so typical in sports. You hang by a thread above a bottomless pit. You stare death in the face. Then your opponent, or life, spares you, and you feel so blessed that you play with abandon. I win the fourth set and the match. I'm in the final. My first look is to Brad, who's excitedly pointing to his watch and the digital play clock on the court. 28 minutes on the dot. My opponent in the final is Andrei Medvedev from Ukraine, which is not possible. It's simply not possible. Just months ago in Monte Carlo, Brad and I bumped into Medvedev in a nightclub. He'd suffered a heartbreaking loss that day and was drinking to numb the pain. We invited him to join us. He threw himself into a chair at our table and announced that he was quitting tennis. I can't play this fucking game anymore, he said. I'm old. The game has passed me by. I talked him out of it. How dare you, I said. Here I am, 29, injured, divorced, and you're bitching about being washed up at 24? Your future is bright. My game is shit. So, fix it. He asked me for tips, pointers. He asked me to analyze his game, just as I'd once asked Brad to analyze mine. And I was Brad-esque. I was brutally honest. I told Medvedev he had a huge serve, a big return, and a world-class backhand. His forehand was not his best shot, of course. That was no secret. But he could hide it, because he was big enough to push opponents around. You're a good mover, I shouted. Get back to the basics. Keep moving. Slam your first serve and rip the backhand up the line. Ever since that night, he's followed my advice to the letter, and he's been on fire. He's been winning consistently on the tour and dominating guys in this tournament. Each time we've bumped into each other in the locker room or around Roland Garros, we've exchanged sly winks and waves. I never once dreamed we were on a collision course. So Gil was wrong. I haven't been on a collision course with destiny, but with a fire-breathing dragon that I helped to build. Everywhere I go, Parisians rush up and wish me luck. The tournament is the talk of the city. In restaurants and cafes, on the street, they yell my name, kiss my cheek, urge me onward. The story of my reception at the Springsteen concert has made the newspapers. The people, the press, are fascinated by my improbable run. Everyone can identify with it. They see something of themselves in my comeback, in my return from the dead. It's the night before the final, and I'm sitting in my hotel room watching TV. I shut it off. I go to the window. I feel sick. I think about this last year, these last 18 months, these last 18 years. Millions of balls, millions of decisions. I know this is my final chance to win the French Open, my final chance to win all 4 slams and complete the set, which means my final shot at redemption. The idea of losing scares me, and the thought of winning scares me nearly as much. Would I be grateful? Would I be worthy? Would I build on it or squander it? Also, Medvedev is never far from my thoughts. He has my game. I gave it to him. He even has my first name, Andre. It's going to be Andre versus Andre, me versus my doppelganger. Brad and Gil knock at the door. Ready for dinner? I hold the door open and tell them to come in for 1 second. They stand just inside the door and watch me open the minibar. I pour myself a huge vodka. Brad's mouth falls open as I down the drink in one gulp. What the hell do you think? I'm sick nervous, Brad. I haven't been able to eat a bite all day. I need to eat, and the only way I can eat is if I take the edge off. Don't worry, Gil says to Brad. He's fine. At least drink a big glass of water, too, Brad says. After dinner, when I get back to my room, I take a sleeping pill and slide into bed. I phone JP. He says it's early afternoon where he is. What time is it there? It's late. It's so very late. How are you feeling? Please talk to me for a few minutes about anything but tennis. Are you okay? Anything but tennis. Okay, well, let's see. How about I read you a poem? I've been reading a lot of poetry lately. Yeah, good. Whatever. He goes to his bookshelf, takes down a book. He reads softly. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I fall asleep without hanging up the phone. Gil knocks at my door, dressed as if he's meeting de Gaulle. He's got the nice black sport coat, the creased black slacks, the black hat, and he's wearing the necklace I gave him. I'm wearing the matching earring, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. In the elevator, he says, "It's going to be okay." Yeah. But it's not okay. I know it during warm-ups. I'm soaked in sweat. I'm sweating as if I'm about to get married. I'm so overcome with nerves that my teeth are clicking. The sun is bright, which should make me happy because the ball will be drier and lighter, but the warmth of the day is also making me sweat that much more. As the match begins, I'm a sweat-soaked wreck. I'm making stupid mistakes, rookie mistakes, every kind of error and fuck-up you can imagine on a tennis court. It takes just 19 minutes to lose the first set, 6-1. Medvedev, meanwhile, couldn't look calmer. And why not? He's doing everything he's supposed to do, everything I told him to do in Monte Carlo. He's directing the pace, moving nimbly, ripping the backhand up the line whenever he chooses. His game is cool, precise, pitiless. If I move in, if I try to take over a point by creeping forward, he hits a crushing backhand past me. He's wearing plaid shorts, as if we're at the beach, and in fact, he looks as if he's frolicking on the Riviera. He's fresh, vigorous, having a holiday. He could be out here for days and days and not get tired of this. As the second set starts, dark clouds appear. Suddenly a light rain falls. Hundreds of umbrellas appear in the stands. Play is halted. Medvedev runs into the locker room, and I follow. No one is in there. I walk up and down. Water drips from a faucet. The sound pings off the metal lockers. I sit on a bench, sweating, staring into an open locker. In come Brad and Gil. Brad wearing a white jacket and white hat, a stark contrast against Gil's all-black ensemble, slams the door as hard as he can and yells, "What's going on?" He's too good, Brad. He's just too good. I can't beat him. This fucker is 6'5", serving bombs, never missing. He's hurting me with his serve. He's hurting me with his backhand. I can't get back in the point on his serve. I don't have this. Brad says nothing. I think of Nick standing in about the same spot, saying nothing to me during the rain delay when I lost to Courier 8 years ago. Some things never change. Same elusive tournament, same queasy feeling, same callous reaction from my coach. I yell at Brad, "Are you kidding me? You're going to pick this moment of all moments to decide not to talk? Of all times, this is the moment you're finally going to shut the hell up?" He stares, then starts screaming. Brad, who never raises his voice to anybody, comes apart. "What do you want me to say, Andre? What is it that you want me to say? You tell me he's too good. How the fuck would you know? You can't judge how he's playing. You're so confused out there, so blind with panic, I'm surprised you can even see him. Too good? You're making him look good. But Just start letting go. If you're going to lose, at least lose on your own terms. Hit the fucking ball. And if you're not sure where to hit it, here's an idea. Just hit it to the same place he hits it. If he hits a backhand cross court, you hit a backhand cross court. Just hit yours a little better. You don't have to be better than the whole fucking world, remember? You just have to be better than one guy. There isn't one shot he has that you don't have. Fuck his serve. His serve will break down when you start making your shots. Just hit. Just fucking hit. If we're going to lose today, fine, I can live with it. But let's lose on our terms. The last 13 days, I've seen you lay it on the line. I've seen you rip it under pressure, maim guys. So please stop feeling sorry for yourself and stop telling me he's too good. And for the love of God, stop trying to be perfect. Just see the ball. Hit the ball. Do you hear me, Andre? See the ball. Hit the ball. Make this guy deal with you. Make him feel you out there. You're not moving. You're not hitting. You may think you are, but trust me, you're just standing there. If you're going down, okay, go down, but go down with guns blazing. Always, always, always go down with both guns blazing. He opens a locker and slams it shut. The door flaps and clangs. The referee appears. We're back on court, gentlemen. Brad and Gil walk out of the locker room. I notice that as they slip through the door, Gil gives Brad's back a furtive pat. I walk slowly onto the court. We have a brief warm-up, then resume play. I've forgotten the score. I have to look at the scoreboard to remind myself. Oh yes, I lead 1-0 in the second set, but Medvedev is serving. I think again of the final against Courier in 1991, the rain delay that disrupted my rhythm. Maybe this will be payback, tennis karma. Maybe as that rain delay befuddled me, this rain delay will help me right myself. But Medvedev is counting on his own Ukrainian karma. He picks up right where he left off, keeps the pressure on, forces me continually to retreat and play defense, which is not my game. The day is now heavily overcast and damp, which seems to further strengthen Medvedev. He likes the pace slow. He's an angry elephant, taking his sweet time, crushing me underfoot. In the first game after the delay, he serves the ball 120 miles an hour. Within seconds, the score is even at 1-1. Then he breaks me. Then he holds, then breaks me again, going on to win the second set with remarkable ease, 6-2. In the third set, we hold serve through 5 games. Suddenly, inexplicably, for the first time in the match, I break him. I'm ahead 4-2. I hear gasps and murmurs in the crowd. But Medvedev breaks me right back. He holds and knots the set at 4-all. The sun reappears. It's shining brightly, and the clay begins to dry. The pace of play picks up considerably. I'm serving, and at 15-all we play a frantic point, which I win with a beautiful backhand volley. Now at 30-15, I hear Brad telling me to see the ball, hit the ball. I let it fly. I cut loose my first serve with an extra loud grunt. Out. I hurry the second serve. Out again. Double fault. 30-30. So, there you have it. I'm still going to lose. Medvedev is now just 6 points from the championship, but I'm going to lose on Brad's terms instead of mine. I serve again. Out. I stubbornly refuse to take anything off the second serve. Out again. 2 double faults in a row. Now it's 30-40, break point. I walk in circles, squeezing my eyes on the verge of tears. I need to pull myself together. I toe the line, toss the ball into the air, and miss yet another serve. I've now missed 5 straight serves. I'm falling apart. I'm 1 missed serve away from Medvedev serving for the French Open. He leans in, ready to obliterate this second serve. As a returner, you're always guessing about your opponent's psyche, and Medvedev knows my psyche is in tatters after missing 5 serves in a row. He's guessing, therefore, with a high degree of certainty that I won't have the stomach to be aggressive. He expects a nice soft kick serve. He thinks I have no other choice. He steps up well inside the baseline, sending me a message that he anticipates a softie, and when he gets hold of it, he's going to ram it down my throat. He wears a look on his face that unmistakably says, "Go ahead, bitch. Be aggressive. I dare you." This moment is the crucial test for both of us. This is the turning point in the match, perhaps in both of our lives. It's a test of wills, of heart, of manhood. I toss the ball in the air and refuse to back down. Contrary to Medvedev's expectations, I serve hard and aggressive to his backhand. The ball takes a wicked skidding bounce. Medvedev stretches out and shovels the ball to the center of the court. I hit a forehand behind him. He gets there, hits a backhand at my feet. I bend, play an awkward forehand volley that lands on the line. He shovels it over the net, and then I tap it over so lightly back over, where it dies, a huge winner for such a soft shot. I go on to hold serve. I have a bounce in my step as I walk to my chair. The crowd is going crazy. The momentum hasn't shifted, but it's twitched. That was Medvedev's moment, and he missed it, and I think I can see on his face that he knows it. Allez, Agassi, allez! One good game, I think. Play one good game, and you'll have won a set. And then at least you can walk out of here holding your head up. The clouds have blown away. The sun has dried the clay hard, and the pace is now lightning fast. I catch Medvedev sneaking a worried look at the sky as we retake the court. He wants those rain clouds to return. He wants no part of this blazing sun. He's starting to sweat. His nostrils are flaring. He looks like a horse, like a dragon. You can beat the dragon. He falls behind love 40. I break him and win the third set. Now we play on my terms. I move Medvedev side to side, hit the ball big, do everything Brad said to do. Medvedev is a step slower, notably distracted. He's had too long to think about winning. He was 5 points away, 5 points, and it's haunting him. He's going over and over it in his mind. He's telling himself, I was so close, I was there, the finish line. He's living in the past, and I'm in the present. He's thinking, I'm feeling. Don't think, Andre. Hit harder. In the fourth set, I break him again. Then we settle into a dogfight. We play good solid tennis, each of us sprinting and grunting and digging deep. The set could go either way, but I have one distinct advantage, a secret weapon I can pull out any time I need a point, my net play. Everything I do at the net is working, and it's clearly troubling Medvedev, messing with his head. He becomes skittish, almost paranoid. If I merely pretend to rush the net, he flinches. I jump, he lunges. I win the fourth set. I break him early in the fifth set and go up 3-2. It's happening. It's turning. The thing that should have been mine in 1990 and 1991 and 1995 is coming around again. I'm up 5-3. He's serving 15-40. I have 2 match points. I need to win this thing right now, or I'm going to have to serve out the match, and I don't want that. If I don't win this thing right now, maybe I don't win at all. If I don't win this thing right now, I'll be in Medvedev's shoes, haunted by how close I was. If I don't win this thing right now, I'll have to think about the French Open in my old age, in my rocking chair, mumbling about Medvedev with a plaid blanket over my legs. I've already obsessed about this tournament for the last 10 years. I can't bear the idea of obsessing about it for another 80. After all this work and sweat, after this improbable comeback and this miraculous tournament, if I don't win this thing right now, I'll never be happy, truly happy again, and Brad will have to be institutionalized. The finish line is close enough to kiss. I feel it pulling me. Medvedev wins both match points. He starves off death. We're back to deuce. I win the next point, however. Match point again. I yell at myself. Now. Win this now. But he wins the next point, then wins the game. The changeover takes an eternity. I mop my face with a towel. I look at Brad, expecting him to be disconsolate, as I am. But his face is determined. He holds up 4 fingers. 4 more points. 4 points equals all 4 slams. Come on, let's go. If I'm going to lose this match, if I'm doomed to live with withering regret, it won't be because I didn't do what Brad said. I hear his voice in my ear. Go back to the well. Medvedev's forehand is the well. We walk onto the court. I'm going to hit everything to Medvedev's forehand, and he knows I'm going to. On the first point, he's tight, tentative on a passing shot up the line. He puts the ball into the net. He wins the next point, however, when I net my running forehand. Suddenly, I rediscover my serve. Out of nowhere, I uncork a big first serve that he can't handle. He hits a tired forehand that flies long. I hit my next first serve, even bigger, and he nets a forehand. Championship point. Half the crowd is yelling my name. The other half is yelling, shh. I hit another sizzling first serve, and when Medvedev steps to the side and takes a chicken wing swing, I'm the second person to know that I've won the French Open. Brad is the first. Medvedev is third. The ball lands well behind the baseline. Watching it fall is one of the great joys of my life. I raise my arms and my racket falls on the clay. I'm sobbing. I'm rubbing my head. I'm terrified by how good this feels. Winning isn't supposed to feel this good. Winning is never supposed to matter this much. But it does. It does. I can't help it. I'm overjoyed, grateful to Brad, to Gil, to Paris, even to Brooke and Nick. Without Nick, I wouldn't be here. Without all the ups and downs with Brooke, even the misery of our final days, this wouldn't be possible. I even reserve some gratitude for myself, for all the good and bad choices that led me here. I walk off the court, blowing kisses in all 4 directions, the most heartfelt gesture I can think of to express the gratitude pulsing through me, the emotion that feels like the source of all other emotions. I vow that I will do this from now on, win or lose. Whenever I walk off a tennis court, I will blow kisses to the 4 corners of the earth, thanking everyone. We have a small party at an Italian restaurant, Stresa, in downtown Paris, close to the Seine, close to the spot where I gave Brooke the tennis bracelet. I'm drinking champagne out of my trophy. Gil is drinking a Coke, and he's physically incapable of not smiling. Every now and then, he puts a hand on mine. It's as heavy as a dictionary, and says, "You did it. We did it, Gilly." McEnroe is there. He hands me a phone and says, "Someone wants to say hello." "Andre? Andre, congratulations. I got such joy watching you tonight. I envy you." Borg. Envy? Why? Doing something so few of us have done. The sun is coming up when Brad and I walk back to the hotel. He puts his arm around me and says, "The journey ended the right way." "How so?" He says, "Usually in life the journey ends the wrong fucking way, but this one time it ended the right way." I throw an arm around Brad. It's one of the few things the prophet has gotten wrong all month. The journey is just beginning. Chapter 23. On the Concorde back to New York, Brad tells me it's destiny. Destiny. He's had a couple of beers. "You won the 1999 French Open on the men's side," he says. "And who should happen to have won it on the women's side? Who? Tell me." I smile. "That's right, Steffi Graf. It's destiny you end up together. Only 2 people in the history of the world have won all 4 slams and a gold medal. You and Steffi Graf. The Golden Slam. It's destiny that you two should be married. In fact," he says, "here's my prediction." He takes the Concorde's promotional literature from the seat pocket and scribbles on the upper right-hand corner. 2001, Steffi Agassi. What the hell does that mean? You guys will be married by 2001, and you'll have your first kids together in 2002. Brad, she has a boyfriend. Have you forgotten? After the 2 weeks you've just had, you're going to tell me anything is impossible? Well, I'll say this. Now that I've won the French Open, I do feel slightly more, I don't know, worthy? There, now you're talking. I don't believe people are destined to win tennis tournaments. Destined to come together, maybe, but not destined to hit more winners and aces than their opponent. Still, I'm reluctant to question anything Brad says. So, just in case, and because I like the way it looks, I tear off the corner of the Concord program on which he's written his latest prophecy, and I put it in my pocket. We spend the next 5 days on Fisher Island, recuperating and celebrating, mostly the latter. The party keeps growing. Brad's wife, Kimmy, flies in. JP and Joni fly in. Late at night, we crank the stereo, listening over and over to Sinatra singing That's Life, Kimmy and Joni dancing like go-go girls atop the table in bed. Then I take to the grass courts at the hotel. I hit with Brad for several days, and we board a plane for London. Halfway across the Atlantic, I realize that we're going to land on Steffi's birthday. What are the chances? What if we bump into her? It would be nice to have something for her. I look at Brad, sleeping. I know he'll want to go straight for the airport to the practice courts at Wimbledon, so there won't be time to stop at a stationery store. I should make some kind of birthday card now, but with what? I notice that the airplane's first-class menu is kind of cool. On the cover is a photo of a country church under a sliver of moon. I combine 2 covers into one card, and along the inside I write, Dear Steffi, I wanted to take this opportunity to wish you a happy birthday. How proud you must feel. Congratulations on what I know is only a sliver of what is out there for you. I punch holes in the 2 menus. Now I just need something to hold them together. I ask the flight attendant if she has any string or ribbon. Maybe some tinsel? She gives me a bit of raffia coiled around the neck of a champagne bottle. I carefully weave the raffia along the holes. It feels as though I'm stringing a tennis racket. When the card is finished, I wake Brad and show him my handiwork. Old world craftsmanship, I say. He twirls a knuckle in his eye, nods approvingly. All you need is a look, he says, an opening. I tuck the card in my tennis bag and wait. There are 3 levels of practice courts at the Wimbledon practice site, Orangi Park. It's a tiered mountain, an Aztec temple of tennis courts. Brad and I hit on the middle tier for half an hour. When we're done, I pack my tennis bag, taking my time as always. It's hard to get reorganized after a transatlantic flight. I'm carefully arranging, rearranging, slipping my wet shirt into a plastic bag when Brad begins punching my shoulder. She's coming, dude, she's coming. I look up like an Irish setter. If I had a tail, it would be wagging. She's 30 yards off, wearing tight-fitting blue warm-up pants. I notice for the first time that she walks slightly pigeon-toed, like me. Her blonde hair is pulled back in a ponytail and gleaming in the sun. It looks, yet again, like a halo. I stand. She gives me the European double-cheek kiss. Congratulations on the French, she says. I was so happy for you. I had tears in my eyes. Me too, she smiles. Congratulations to you as well, I say. You paved the way. You warmed up the court for me. Thank you. Silence. Luckily, no fans or photographers are around, so she seems relaxed, in no hurry. I'm oddly relaxed as well. Brad, however, is making small squeaking noises, like air being slowly let out of a balloon. Oh, I say, hey, I just remembered. I have a gift for you. I knew it was your birthday, so I made you a card. Happy birthday. She takes the card, looks at it for several seconds, then looks up, touched. How did you know it was my birthday? I just know. Thank you, she says, really. She walks away quickly. The next day she's coming off the practice courts just as Brad and I arrive. This time there are mobs of fans and reporters all around, and she seems painfully self-conscious. She slows, gives us a half wave, and in stage whisper says, How can I reach you? I'll give my number to Heinz. Okay, goodbye. Bye. After practice, Perry and Brad and I sit around the house we've rented, debating when she's going to call. Soon, Brad says. Very soon, Perry says. The day passes without a call. Another day passes. I'm in agony. Wimbledon starts Monday, and I can't sleep, can't think. Sleeping pills are powerless against this kind of anxiety. She had better call, Brad says, or you're going to lose in the first round. Saturday night, just after dinner, the phone rings. Hello? Hi, it's Stephanie. Stephanie? Stephanie. Stephanie Graf? Yes. Oh, you go by Stephanie? She explains that her mother called her Steffi years ago, and the press picked it up and it stuck, but she thinks of herself as Stephanie. Stephanie it is, I say. While talking to her, I go skiing around the living room in my sweat socks. I shoosh across the wood floors. Brad pleads with me to stop, to sit in a chair. He's sure I'm going to break a leg or tweak a knee. I settle into an easy cross-country motion around the perimeter of the room. He smiles and tells Perry, we're going to have a good tournament. It's going to be a good Wimbledon. Shh, I tell him. Then I lock myself in the back room. Listen, I tell Stephanie, back in Key Biscayne, you said you didn't want any misunderstandings with me. Well, I don't want any misunderstandings with you either. So I need to tell you, I just need to say before we go any further that I think you are beautiful. I respect you, I admire you, and I would absolutely love to get to know you better. That's my goal. That's my only agenda. That's where I am. Tell me this is possible. Tell me we can go to dinner. No, please. It's not possible. Not here. Not here. Okay. Can we go somewhere else? No, I have a boyfriend. I think the boyfriend still. I've read about him. Race car driver. The same boyfriend she's had for 6 years. I try to come up with something clever to say, some way of telling her to open herself to the possibility of being with me. With the silence stretching to an uncomfortable length, the moment sliding away, all I can come up with is this. 6 years is a long time. Yes, she says. Yes, it is. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. I've lived that. She doesn't say anything, but it's the way she doesn't say anything. I've struck a chord. I continue. It can't be exactly what you're looking for. I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I hold my breath. She doesn't contradict me. I say, I don't want to be disrespectful or take liberties, but can you please, could you maybe, I don't know, just get to know me? No. Coffee? I can't be in public with you. It wouldn't be right. What about letters? Can I write you? She laughs. Can I send you stuff? Can I let you know me before you decide if you want to get to know me? No. Not even letters? There is someone who reads my mail. I see. I knock my fist against my forehead. Think, Andre. Think. I say, okay, look, how about this? You're playing your next tournament in San Francisco. I'll be there practicing with Brad. You said you loved San Francisco. Let's meet in San Francisco. This is possible. This is possible? I wait for her to elaborate. She doesn't. So can I call you, or do you just want to call me? Call me after this tournament, she says. Let's both play, and call me when you finish the tournament. She gives me her cell phone number. I write it on a paper napkin, kiss it, and put it in my tennis bag. I reach the semis and play Rafter. I beat him in straight sets. I don't have to wonder who's waiting for me in the final. It's Pete. As always, Pete. I stagger back to the house, thinking shower, food, sleep. The phone rings. I'm sure it's Stephanie, wishing me luck against Pete, confirming our San Francisco date. But it's Brooke. She's in London and asked to come by and see me. As I hang up the phone and turn, Perry is there, inches from my face. Andre, please tell me you said no. Please tell me you're not letting that woman come here. She's coming in the morning. Before you play the final at Wimbledon, I'll be fine. She arrives at 10, wearing an enormous British hat with a wide floppy brim and plastic flowers. I give her a quick tour of the house. We compare it with the houses she and I used to rent back in the day. I ask if she'd like something to drink. Do you have any tea? Sure. I hear Brad cough in the next room. I know what the cough means. It's the morning of the final. An athlete should never change his routine on the morning of a final. I've had coffee every morning of the tournament. I should be having coffee now. But I want to be a good host. I make a pot of tea, and we drink it at a table under the kitchen window. We talk without saying anything. I ask if she has anything special she wanted to tell me. She misses me, she says. She wanted to tell me that. She sees a stack of magazines on the cover of the table, copies of a recent Sports Illustrated. I'm on the cover. The headline is Suddenly Andre. I'm suddenly starting to hate that word, suddenly. Tournament officials sent them over, I tell her. They want me to autograph copies for fans and Wimbledon officials and staffers. Brooke picks up one of the magazines, stares at my photo. I watch her stare. I think of that day 13 years ago, sitting with Perry in his bedroom beneath hundreds of Sports Illustrated covers, dreaming about Brooke. Now here she is. I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Perry is a former producer of her TV show, and we're all barely speaking. She reads the headline aloud. Suddenly Andre. She reads it again. Suddenly Andre? She looks up. Oh, Andre. What? Oh, Andre, I'm so sorry. Why? Here it is, your big moment, and they make it all about me. Stephanie is in the final two. She loses to Lindsay Davenport. She had been playing mixed doubles as well with McEnroe, and they had reached the semis, but she pulled out because of a bad hamstring. I'm in the locker room getting dressed for my match with Pete, and McEnroe is telling a group of players that Stephanie left him in the lurch. Can you believe this bitch? She asks to play mixed doubles with me, and I fucking do it, and then we're in the semis, and she backs out? Brad puts a hand on my shoulder. Steady, champ. I start strong against Pete. My mind is going in several directions at once. How dare Mac say those things about Stephanie? What was the deal with that hat Brooke was wearing? But somehow I'm playing solid, crisp tennis. It's 3-all in the first set. Pete serving at love 40. Triple break point. I see Brad smiling, punching Perry, shouting, "Come on, let's go!" I let myself think about Borg, the last person to win the French and Wimbledon back-to-back, a feat now within my grasp. I imagined Borg phoning me again to congratulate me. Andre, it's me, Bjorn. I envy you. Pete wakes me from my fantasy. Unreturnable serve. Blur. Ace. Game. Sampras. I stare at Pete in shock. No one, living or dead, has ever served like that. No one in the history of the game could have returned those serves. He takes me out in straight sets, finishing me off with 2 aces, 2 fiery exclamation points at the end of a seamless performance. It's the first match I've lost in a slam in the last 14 matches, a streak of dominance almost without precedence in my career. But history will record that it's Pete's 6th Wimbledon and his 12th slam overall, tying him for most all-time among men, as history should. Later, Pete tells me he never saw me hit the ball as hard and clean as I did those first 6 games, and it made him raise his game, amp up his second serve by 20 miles an hour. In the locker room, I need to take the standard drug test. I so badly want to piss and run back to the house and call Stephanie, but I can't, because I have a bladder like a whale. It takes forever. Finally, my bladder cooperates with my heart. I drop my bag in the front hall and lunge for the phone as if it's drop shot. Fingers trembling, I dial, straight to voicemail. I leave a message. Hi, it's Andre. Tournament's over. I lost to Pete. Sorry about your loss to Lindsay. Call me when you can. I sit. I wait. A day passes. No call. Another day. No call. I hold the phone in front of my face and tell it, ring. I dial her again. Leave another message. Nothing. I fly back to the West Coast. As I step off the plane, I check my messages. Nothing. I fly to New York for a charity event. I check my voicemail every 15 minutes. Nothing. JP meets me in New York City. We hit the town. PJ Clark's and Campagnola. A big ovation when we walk in. I see my friend Bo Deedle, the cop-turned-TV personality. He's sitting at a long table with his crew, Mike the Russian, Shelley the Tailor, Al Tomatoes, Joey Pots and Pans. They insist we join them. JP asks Joey Pots and Pans how he got his nickname. I love to cook. Later we all break up laughing when Joey's cell phone rings. He flips it open and yells, Pots! Bo says he's having a party at the Hamptons this weekend. He insists that JP and I come. Potts is cooking, he says. Tell him your favorite food. Whatever it is, he'll cook it. It makes me think of those long-ago Thursday nights at Gil's house. I tell Bo we wouldn't miss it. The crowd at Bo's house is like the cast of Goodfellas meets Forrest Gump. We sit around the pool, smoking cigars, drinking tequila. Every now and then I pull Stephanie's number out of my pocket and study it. At one point, I go into Bo's house and call her from his landline in case she's screening my calls, straight to voicemail. Frustrated, restless, I drink 3 or 4 too many margaritas, then put my wallet and cell phone on a chair and do a cannonball into the pool, still dressed. Everyone follows. An hour later, I check my voicemail again. You have one new message. For some reason, my cell phone didn't ring. Hi, she says. I'm sorry I haven't called you back. I got very sick. My body broke down after Wimbledon. I had to pull out of San Francisco and come home to Germany. But I'm feeling better now. Call me back when you can. She doesn't leave her number, of course, because she already gave me her number. I pat my pockets. Where did I put that number? My heart stops. I remember writing it on a paper napkin, which was in my pocket when I jumped in the pool. Gingerly, I reach into my pocket and pull out the napkin. It looks like Tammy Faye Baker's makeup. I remember that I phoned Stephanie once from Bo's landline. I grab him by the arm and tell him that whatever it takes, whatever favors he has to call in, whoever he needs to grease or bully or kill, he must get the phone records for his house with all the outgoing phone calls from today, and he must do it right now. Done, Bo says. He reaches out to a guy who knows a guy who has a friend who has a cousin who works for the phone company. An hour later, we have the records. The list of calls made from the house looks like the Pittsburgh White Pages. Bo yells at his crew, I'm going to start keeping an eye on you mutts. No wonder my frigging phone bill is so high. But there's the number. I write it down in 6 different places, including my hand. I dial Stephanie, and she answers on the 3rd ring. I tell her what I've been through tracking her down. She laughs. We're both playing near Los Angeles soon. Can we meet there? Maybe? After your tournament, she says. Yes. I fly to Los Angeles and play well. I meet Pete in the final. I lose 7-6, 7-6, and don't care. Running off the court, I'm the happiest guy in the world. I shower, shave, dress. I grab my tennis bag and head for the door. And there's Brooke. She heard I was in town and decided to come down and see me play. She gives me a head to toe. Wow, she says, you're all dressed up. Got a big date? Actually, yes. Oh, with who? I don't answer. Gil, she says, who does he have a date with? Brooke, I think you should probably ask Andre that. She stares at me. I sigh. I'm going out with Steffi Graf. Stephanie? Steffi. I know we're both thinking of the photo on the refrigerator door. I say, please don't tell anybody, Brooke. She's a private person, and she doesn't like any attention. I won't tell a soul. Thank you. You look nice. Really? Uh-huh. Thanks. I hoist my tennis bag. She walks me into the tunnel under the stadium where players park their cars. "Hello, Lily," she says, putting a hand on the gleaming white hood of the Cadillac. The top is already down. I throw my bag on the back seat. "Have a nice time," Brooke says. She kisses me on the cheek. I pull away slowly, glancing at Brooke in the rearview mirror. Once more, I drive away from her and Lily. But I know this time will be the last, and that we'll never speak again. On the way to San Diego, where Stephanie is playing, I phone JP, who gives me a pep talk. "Don't try too hard," he says. "Don't try to be perfect. Be yourself." I think I know how to follow that advice on a tennis court, but on a date, I'm at a loss. "Andre," he says, "some people are thermometers. Some are thermostats. You're a thermostat. You don't register the temperature in a room. You change it. So be confident. Be yourself. Take charge. Show her your essential self." I think I can do that. Should I pick her up with the top up or down? Up. Girls worry about their hair. Don't we all? But isn't it cooler with the top down? Her hair, Andre, her hair. I keep the top down. I'd rather be cool than chivalrous. Stephanie is renting a condo at a large resort. I find the resort, but can't find the condo, so I phone her for directions. "What kind of car are you driving?" "A Cadillac as big as a Carnival cruise ship." "Ah, yes, I see you." I look up. She's standing on a tall, grassy hill, waving. She shouts, "Wait there!" She comes running down the hill and makes as if to jump in my car. "Wait," I say, "I have something I want to give you. Can I come up a minute?" "Oh, just a minute." Reluctantly, she walks back up the hill. I drive around and park outside the front door of her condo. I present her with a gift, a box of fancy candles I bought for her in Los Angeles. She seems to like them. "Okay," she says. "Ready?" "I was hoping we could have a drink first." "A drink? Like what?" "I don't know. Wine?" She says she doesn't have any wine. "We could order room service." She sighs. She hands me a wine list and asks me to pick out a bottle. When the room service guy knocks at the door, she asks me to wait in the kitchen. She says she doesn't want to be seen together. She feels uncomfortable about our date. Guilty. She can imagine the room service guy going back to tell his fellow room service guys. She has a boyfriend, she reminds me. "But there's no time to explain," she says. She pushes me into the kitchen. I can hear the poor room service guy, slightly enamored of Stephanie, who's just as nervous for very different reasons. She's trying to rush him. He's fumbling with the bottle, and of course he drops it. A 1989 Chateau Baychevel. When the guy leaves, I help Stephanie pick up the pieces of broken glass. I say, "I think we're off to a fine start, don't you?" I've reserved a table by the window at George's on the Cove, overlooking the ocean. We both order chicken and vegetables on a bed of mashed potatoes. Stephanie eats faster than I and doesn't touch her wine. I realize she's not a foodie, not a 3-course meal and linger over coffee kind of girl. She's also fidgeting because someone she knows is sitting behind us. We talk about my foundation. She's fascinated to hear about the charter school I'm building. She has her own foundation, which gives psychological counseling to children scarred by war and violence in places like South Africa and Kosovo. The subject of Brad naturally comes up. I tell her about his tremendous coaching skills, his odd people skills. We laugh about his efforts to make tonight happen. I don't tell her about his prediction. I don't ask about her boyfriend. I ask what she likes to do in her free time. She says she loves the ocean. "Would you like to go to the beach tomorrow?" "I thought you were supposed to go to Canada." "I could take a red-eye tomorrow night." She thinks. Okay. After dinner, I drop her at the resort. She gives me the double cheek kiss, which is starting to feel like a karate self-defense move. She runs inside. Driving away, I phone Brad. He's already in Canada, and it's hours later there. I woke him, but he rouses himself when I tell him the date went well. "Come on," he says groggily, stifling a yawn. "Let's go." She spreads a towel on the sand and pulls off her jeans. Underneath, she's wearing a white one-piece bathing suit. She walks out into the water, up to her knees. She stands with one hand on her hip, the other shielding her eyes from the sun, scanning the horizon. She asks, "You coming in?" "I don't know. I'm wearing white tennis shorts. I didn't think to bring a bathing suit because I'm a desert kid. I don't do well in the water. But I'll swim to China right now if that's what it takes." In just my tennis shorts, I walk out to where Stephanie's standing. She laughs at my swimwear and pretends to be shocked that I'm going commando. I tell her I've been like this since the French Open and I'm never going back. We talk for the first time about tennis. When I tell her that I hate it, she turns to me with a look that says, "Of course, doesn't everybody?" I talk about Gil. I ask her about her conditioning. She mentions that she used to train with Germany's Olympic track team. "What's your best race?" 800 meters? Whoa, that's a gut check. "How fast can you run it?" She smiles shyly. "You don't want to tell me?" No answer. "Come on, how fast are you?" She points down the beach at a red balloon in the distance. "See that red dot down there?" "Yeah." "You'd never beat me to that." "Really?" "Really." She smiles. Off she goes. I go tearing after her. It feels as if I've been chasing her all my life, and now I'm literally chasing her. At first, it's all I can do to keep pace, but near the finish line, I close the gap. She reaches the red balloon 2 lengths ahead of me. She turns, and peals of her laughter carry back to me like streamers on the wind. I've never been so happy to lose.